I got to make sure I don't screw this up. Welcome to Good Friends, Good Games. This is episode 1, and it is 6/18/2022. We're excited to have you all here. So, this is the new deal. We have a lovely panel of people now on the screen. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to introduce all of us here. And then they will each have an opportunity to speak and introduce themselves here. Okay, so I am Erik Anthony. You may have heard me on the Good People with Erik and Hannah. That is the same me. To my virtual right, we have Hannah K.
Hello, everybody.
I'm
Erik's co-host.
You're not the only one anymore, though.
I'm not the only one.
Right. You're not the only one anymore.
Yeah.
So, Hannah K, you're probably familiar with her if you've been here before. And below me in my virtual below panel here, wave down, Leshkee, welcome.
Hello. Hi, it's me, Leshkee.
And
the intro.
To the bottom corner that-a-way, diagonally below Hannah, in my panel here, we have the amazing Zenith. I don't know if you said hello. Oh, there he is. Now he's live.
I'm sorry.
Okay. So keep in mind, this is episode 1. This is the first time we've done a multi-stream podcast. So we're obviously going to probably run into a hiccup, 1 or 2 here and there. So bear with us as we get it all worked out, and we work out the kinks as we go along. There's a lot of stuff we're missing when we were planning the stages of this whole thing, so I guarantee you there's going to be stuff that we're missing. But the important part is that you're all here, and we appreciate you being here. Welcome. We're glad to have you. If you are watching us, you can watch us on twitch.tv, Good People Media Group. And if you are listening, you will be able to hear this on Spotify and Apple Podcasts once we get it uploaded there. And then it should be up on YouTube shortly after. We got that channel worked out too. So.
We do.
We do. All right. We're going to go ahead and we'll talk about the concept of what we want to do here. So the idea of Good Friends, Good Games is it is going to be, just as the title says, it's a group of friends. We've all known each other a significantly long time, all over 5 years. Time has flown by.
Crazy to me.
Yeah. Time has flown by fast.
It's wild.
Yeah.
So we've all known each other over 5 years here. With the exception of one, most of us have been in each other's homes in some way, shape, or form, or we've been in the same hotels at conventions, etc. And we've also shared the stage at conventions for events for TwitchCon and of the like. So we're all very familiar with each other. We're all very close to each other. I can say personally that while I get motion sickness from Leshkee down at the bottom.
Sorry.
It's okay. I'm just messing with you. So what I can say personally is that I love and adore the people that are sitting here in this panel with me, and I'm very excited to share this journey with them. Zenith and I have the best introductory story. We met through a mutual, and we'll just say this was one of those Erik is intoxicated cons. And Zenith,
so which one, Erik?
The question is not what, it's which one, which con. But no, it was Erik is intoxicated con. I'm pretty confident it was 2017. Anyway, go ahead.
You see, that whole time, I couldn't drink because I had the very, very nasty stomach flu. So I had the absolute pleasure of essentially babysitting you and my roommate and making sure you guys didn't get into trouble. And I think once or twice I had to be like, no, you cannot go onto the street.
Good times and good times and good memories. And what I can say though is after that, as wild as that first meeting interaction with Zenith was, we've been incredibly close friends from that point forward. We make an effort to see everyone or each other at every con, whether it's for a few minutes or for an extended period of time. We always make the effort to see each other, and I love it.
Yeah.
And I look forward to those moments. I will not be at TwitchCon this year.
Neither will I.
I've made that
Neither will I.
decision. I'm guessing Zenith hasn't said anything, so I'm going to guess he will be there.
I have no idea.
Okay, there
what
you
is
go.
money?
Yeah, no idea. But, whenever we do get to see the opportunity to see each other again, we will make sure that it happens. So there's that. Hannah and I, obviously, we've been working together already for the past year. And we worked on numerous streams together before that. And content, and we've shared Twitch teams, and we did all that fun stuff back in the glorious Twitch days.
Mm-hmm.
And then the same for Leshkee. Leshkee has been kind of under the radar a little bit. She just got married. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
Woo!
Yeah, forgot how to stream afterwards.
You forgot how to
Same.
stream, right? Yeah, that's one of the first signs of marriage, when you just realize you don't know how to start streaming anymore. Or start record or create I don't know
recording.
how to do this anymore.
What do I do now? I
Well,
don't have anything to talk about.
Well, the fun fact about Lesh, we share two things in common. We have the same
Mhm.
birthday, and we both met our husbands on Twitch.
And married them
Yeah,
like
and we
not
married
that far
them.
apart from each other.
Yeah, and we were all on
That's
the same
awesome.
Twitch teams and like everything. So
On that
Reverse
note,
dates win.
cool.
before we proceed, we are going to wish Hannah a happy birthday and Lesh a happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank
Happy
9 days
birthday,
ago.
you
Woo.
two. Happy birthday, both of you.
Thank you.
I know, and Hannah hit that milestone
Oof.
3-0. How did it feel? How did 3-0 feel?
Hey.
It felt I think I was okay the majority of the day, and then I had like a crisis at night.
Did you go buy a
Big- m-
motorcycle?
I did. I bought two.
Nice.
I think it was mostly because like I didn't necessarily see myself as like older, but it put in perspective like, oh my gosh, time is going so quickly. Like I remember
Right.
being like 10 and being like, I have all the time in the world till I'm 30. I remember seeing 13 going on 30 when I was 13 years
I love
old.
that show.
And I was like, wow, 30 is a long time from now. And I'm like, oh man, here I am.
It's not that long when you think about it.
Right?
And when you think about it, like it flew by. So
I handled 30 okay, like surprising, because I was in my late 20s and I was doing that whole like crisis thing where I'm like, oh god, my youth is gone, da 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 da. What I'm gonna do? I'm gonna be like old and irrelevant and not cool anymore. And then like it rolled over and I went into mid 30s and I'm like, you know what? I'm okay. I'm okay with it. And like
Mhm.
once I started, taking care of like other things I had going on in life and started taking care of my own personal demons and stuff like that, like life felt a little more, I guess, refreshing. And I was like,
Everyone says the 30s are actually really great. That's what everyone's told me.
30s are the new 20s. That's what I say.
yeah,
Yep, I'm
and
enjoying
I
the
was like,
30s.
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm pretty sure when 40 rolls around, which is 2 years away, I will be, freaking out, and I'll probably buy a motorcycle too. I've actually been looking, which is
I
kind
know
of
you
scary.
have. Like,
I think I've told Hannah about it, where I was like, I think I want to buy a motorcycle. And I've told my girlfriend
Yes,
for
you
sure. I
should.
was like, I want to buy a motorcycle. And now I'm waiting for Hannah to actually buy a motorcycle. And when she's like, Erik, I bought a motorcycle, and she rolls up and it's a Vespa.
do I
like-
look like somebody that would probably buy a motorcycle? Like
I could
would
see you on a
fall.
Vespa. I could see you on a Vespa.
You know what? I could see myself on a Vespa for sure.
With a little like side saddle thing with your books in it from Barnes and Noble. I think it would be the cutest thing ever.
Is that my Barnes and Noble ride? Like I only
Yeah.
go to Barnes and Noble on my Vespa.
Leshkee, how was your
Hannah
birthday?
roll up? Can Hannah roll up in my driveway and be like, rock the Vespa? Rock
Oh, do the
Vespa."
horn? Do the little beep beep with the horn?
Yeah, there we go.
I want to see it. Now I want to see it. I want to see her roll up
Has
with the,
to
like,
happen.
the leather jacket and the gloves and the helmet and just be like, eh, eh.
I would probably rock it, honestly. I probably would. I'll be honest with you.
She's got
I
like a
wanna see it.
motorcycle vest with the rocker on there. She's already affiliated like with some motorcycle gang. It's like, this all happened in 48 hours? Wow. Leshkee, how was your
playing right now.
birthday?
It was good. I had to work, unfortunately.
Oh,
So
Yeah,
it was
we
super
both did.
uneventful, but that's kind of what I like.
Mm.
I like relaxing every once in a while. But yeah, it was just another day.
did Hannah tell you about her cake from Costco or whatever they got her? So,
No.
Oh my God.
Maybe I'll use it as the thumbnail for this episode. But Hannah got a birthday cake at. You went to like a Costco or something, right? Or was it the grocery store?
So it was like Dustin and I were gonna plan like hang out for my birthday like over the weekend because I worked on my birthday. He worked on my birthday, and he actually worked like Saturday too. So like we weren't able to spend like that time like on my birthday together. So after work, like I drove to my parents' house because my parents were like, "We'll do a little something there." So my mom went and got an ice cream cake. I told her just get like one of those small Carvel like ice cream cakes. Like I don't want something that's gonna sit in the fridge because I know I'm not gonna eat the whole thing. So typically when she does that, she'll go to like the baker at like the store, whether it's Publix or wherever, and they'll write like "Happy Birthday, Hannah" on it. And so they wrote "Happy Birthday, Hannah" on it, but they didn't write "Happy Birthday." They wrote HBD on it, and they didn't even center it. So like it's just like it's over on like the far left, and Hannah's like in the middle. I sent it to Erik, and I was like, "Bro, like this." I'm like, "Happy 30th birthday to me." Like it just looked like a fail cake, and I was like,
It was
okay,
so
Mom,
good.
I'm like-
I was like rolling for like a good couple minutes. I sent it to my. You know how you get one of those pictures and you send it to like your significant other. Right? I'm like, babes, look at Hannah's cake, and it just said HBD Hannah.
Aw.
I want to see. Like, I gotta post it in like the Discord chat. So
I think it might be the actual thumbnail for the episode. It's actually really good. It literally just says HBD Hannah, and it's not even like no effort was put into it. It's just literally like not even centered. But
That person didn't even want to bother with the day. It
I
seems.
know they really didn't, and I was like, they could have fit "Happy Birthday" in there.
I wonder if your mom asked, like, "Are you okay today?"
No, my mom just accepted it. I was like, I just looked at her, and she was like, "That's just what they put," and I was like, "Okay." I'm like,
They don't want to take that extra effort, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't
And
know.
so what if it's a cake that says "heavy buffed dudes"?
Yeah.
Heavy buff dude Hannah?
Yeah, heavy buff dude Hannah. Who knows? But so the concept of the show, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna talk about our favorite game. We're gonna talk about the games we're playing. We'll talk about the gaming news that's going on.
Did we kind of just like emphasize like this particular group we're really focusing on gaming?
This
Like,
is a very gaming centric show. Yes, that's a good point, Hannah. This is a very gaming centric show. We will probably not get too much involved in, issues outside of gaming, but if the issues kind of bleed into the gaming environment, then we will go ahead and, we will clearly, bring them up because they're part of gaming. And
right.
that is where we will go from there. So at that point, let's go ahead and let's get into this. You guys ready to do this?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Let's go.
Okay, let's do this. All right. Welcome, everyone. We're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about some video games. So this is a panel here. We all play video games. And we're all excited. As much as we like talk about the stuff that revolves around video games and the industry that revolves around video games, we actually really do all love video games here.
Yes.
Mhm.
We all play them. We enjoy them. They're our escape from the work world and, life in general. And we all appreciate them. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to call the cast members out each, and we'll go ahead and we'll start this discussion. So, Hannah, you
Yes.
have discovered Horizon Zero Dawn, and that seems to be your jive this week.
That has been my jive. So I have had it for a long time. It's just been sitting on the shelf. So finally I was like, okay, I'm gonna play it. And also too, because we finally snagged a PS5. Shout out to our friend Erica who grabbed one for us, and she got us like the Horizon bundle. So I'm like, okay, I
Ooh.
really got to play like the first one because the second one's coming. So it's been really enjoyable so far. I will say the only issue I have with Horizon Zero Dawn right now is I'm having a lighting issue. If anybody has a lighting issue with this game, please let me know, because I was looking it up and apparently like it's a brightness issue. And I don't know if it's the TV, I don't know if it's the console. I've tried to fix it, nothing works. Like it just looks so bright. And I'm like, I can't see. When we're in snow, I'm like, I don't know where I'm going. So that's the only issue I've had so far.
What I can tell you is,
Mhm.
when we'll talk about some of your experiences with the game here in a second, but what I can tell you is Horizon Forbidden West, I have a lot of issues with the HDR, like things can be bright, and then things can be dark, where I'm like playing the level and I'm like, I can't see where I'm supposed to go or what I'm supposed to.
That's exactly what's happening.
And you'll discover this in the second game when you do get to it, that there's mild spoiler alert, you get a weapon called like a hook shot, very similar to the one in Zelda, where you can grapple onto things and pull and manipulate the environment to help you get across things and progress in the stage. So like I find myself a lot of places where I can't find the hook point because it's so dark, and I'm like, okay, what's going on? And I don't know if it's an HDR thing with my TV or whatever. So I don't think you're alone in that sentiment. But what I wanted to know is, because this is like one of the first story driven games you've played in a while, right? Like
Correct.
you haven't been doing that lately. You've been on a MMO kick, which we'll also talk about. But
yeah.
So I wanted, because you and I did this episode on the other show where we talked about how Aloy became kind of like the face of female protagonists in video games out of nowhere. So what I wanted is like, do you share those sentiments now? Do you grasp onto Aloy as a character, or do you think she's not all that? Or
I definitely grasp onto her as a character. I will say I'm still so early in the game that I have not gotten to her full depth yet. Like I appreciate, like, and this isn't really a mild spoiler, but like in the beginning, she is presented as an outcast. Like that's like the full beginning part of the game. She's just rejected by society. And so I love that kind of story arc about her, but like I haven't gotten to the potential yet. Like what comes from that. So like I'm still very early, like because I had spent like an hour the other night working on the brightness settings. So like,
did you get an achievement for the brightness? Optimal brightness achieved trophy. It's just like,
I know.
I got an hour in this. So as far as like, because the world's actually pretty amazing. Like the world of robotic dinosaurs. If no one's jumped on Horizon yet, it's like a hybrid world where it's like dystopian, destruction in the world and everything's run down, but like the world is habited by robotic dinosaurs basically, like, and lizards and stuff like that. It's probably one of the most unique, I think, one of the most unique new world concepts in a game.
What I really enjoy about it, that I think one of the reasons I'm kind of hooked to it, is like it reminds me of The Witcher a little bit, The Witcher 3, which was
I can see it.
Is one of my favorite games because like the dialogue options, the quests that are kind of like go from point A to point B, they feel a little bit more enriching. Like there's a little bit more story in those quests as opposed to like just go like a Skyrim quest. It's like just go here to go there, go here to go there. It's got a little bit more depth to it, and I think that's like why I've been kind of hooked on it. So as of late.
I know personally for myself, and we'll let the others speak on this here. I know for me, like when it comes terms to like open world games, I'm not the biggest fan of them, but when I am a fan of them, I like it when it's fairly linear, which I think Horizon does very well. Like Horizon says, hey, this is the next quest. Now they do sprinkle a bunch of random side quests in the thing, but generally overall, as you play, you know where you need to go. And what you need to do. I'm not a big fan of like random like fetch quests. In fact, I hate those trophy type of deals, like where it's like go collect the 50 different artifacts, which is one of the ones in Horizon, where it's like go collect these different artifacts and get that achievement and do these side missions to get that achievement. But I think what Horizon does very well too is there's a lot of side quests, but they all enrich the world or the story in general. Which, as you play more, you'll figure that out. I'm guessing you're only a couple hours in, right?
Probably a few. But I'm curious because I feel like Zen might have different a different feel on open world, because Zen is a huge Zelda fan. And Zelda can be a bit like, it's hard for me to get into Zelda games because I find it overwhelming. It's not as linear to me. So I'm curious, kind of branching off like what you said about open world, what Zen feels as far as like being like a huge Zelda fan.
Zen is also an avid Dark Souls person, and we'll put that out there. He's very into Elden Ring and Souls games, and he tortures himself every damn stream with a Zelda randomizer, which God knows why.
Yeah, if I'm not playing a game to simulate the feeling of punching myself in the nuts daily, then what am I doing with my life?
Why am I wasting my time? Why did I waste my $70 if I'm not
Yeah.
punching my nuts repeatedly playing
So
this?
that's actually a very interesting point that you brought up, Hannah, because like with Zelda games, I feel differently with Breath of the Wild as opposed to like the more traditional Zeldas, because the old traditional Zeldas, it's more direct, it's more linear, and where your ability to progress through the world is actually limited by the items you possess. So obviously, the more progress through dungeons you make, progress through the story, the more areas it interlocks. Because if you want to cross this valley or this gap, you're going to need something like the hook shot to allow you to get to that, so that the world isn't quite open just yet. Whereas Breath of the Wild, as soon as you play through like the first hour or two, you get the paraglider, and then you can just go anywhere, no matter how much how difficult the game is. And like you know, in my personal feeling as someone that's more traditional, that I would kind of like it if there's like a big red flag put right here and say, hey, go to this point. I would much rather, like, I want like a bit of, I don't mind having my hand held just a little bit, as far as like, okay, so we want you to go to this place, or we want it to be, you know, pretty mandatory, because the thing that that games, you know, there's certain games like that in The Witcher, and that, like, because I love those games, but sometimes I feel that I don't know like how necessary it is to like go into like the main quest stuff and just like bypass all the side stuff. Because with Breath of the Wild, pretty much I just go to the 4 main dungeons, and then I'm done.
I think, and then the other important point to think, and Zen touched on, is Zelda has not been open world up until Breath of the Wild, and the last time Zelda was open world was technically the first NES one back in 83 or 84. I forgot. As a Zelda fan myself, I'm embarrassed I don't know that year, but it's the first, you know, it hasn't been open world since the original NES game.
Okay.
So
because
Breath
the only
of the
one
Wild,
I've ever gotten into is like Breath of the Wild, and I find it very daunting. Like, I feel like it's more like exhausting for me to play.
I think Zen might agree with me on this too, because I think Breath of the Wild was such a refreshing open breath of air because of the fact that it was open world. Because before, like Zen said, Zelda, it kind of handholds you and tells you where to go. And then it makes it clear that you can't progress until you get the tool that you need to progress in that dungeon. That's the thing Zelda does very well too, is like every dungeon or every, you know, area you reach that has some significance, they provide the tool you need to get through it. So like one dungeon gives you the hook shot, the other dungeon will give you the bow and arrow, you know, and it kind of progresses through, and that's how you get through the game, is you get these tools to progress, and that's what makes it unique in its own right. And that's the story progression. Zelda actually has very minimal story if you think about it. All you know is you're this hero that has to save the world, and there's really no details like as to like why you're doing it. You just know you have to do it. And I think that's what makes it so. That's why I love them. It's almost your own interpretation of every one, and every game that you play has a different, you know, feel and story as you progress through them. And then on that note, is you're also, Hannah, while we close out here with you, you're also exploring the club scene in Final Fantasy 14 quite a bit.
Oh yeah. If I don't know if Zen, unless you know about the club scene on Final Fantasy 14, but like it's literally just consumed my life at this point. Like,
she's got a problem, guys. Like, she's literally.
Like,
oh no!
You ever have one of those friends that just parties way too much, and you're like, dude, you've got to chill. Like, you got to sleep. You got work in the morning. This is Hannah right now, but it's all virtual.
It's all virtual, and like we go and take cute pics, and it's me, Dustin, and Meg, and Carla, and Jason, and Erica, and like all of us just go and we like club hop on Final Fantasy 14 because people like buy houses in the game, and then they build them to make clubs, and then
That's so cool.
they have Twitch DJs like DJ for them.
That's the one that blew my mind.
So
I might have to start playing again. What?
come on, like listen, I'm trying to get everyone on. Like Erik won't do it, but I've been trying. I've been bugging him.
I repeated this on the other show where it was like, I want to get into this. Like I've tried Final Fantasy 14 numerous times, but I'm tired of the 20 hours to 40 hours of mindless quests. Like go bring this soup to Jim Smith in the Smith Forge so he can go ahead and recover, and it's like 40 hours of this stuff, and I'm like, when do I get to the good stuff? Why am I picking berries and nuts and hunting animal skins?
I'll just buy you a level boost at this point. But like Carla says, like in the chat here, she says, Hannah and Dustin at 3 a.m. We really need to go to bed. Stays on for another hour.
And the other thing that blew, you sent me this picture, Hannah, like a couple days ago where there was a line like to get into this Final Fantasy club.
Yeah, because there was a cap, and so like the houses can only hold so many people. So like I kept trying to go in, it kept booting me out. So eventually we all formed a line, and I'm like standing in this line, like just waiting to get in the club.
Zenith, if you can't see, if you're listening to this, Zenith is sitting in the corner like, I don't know what I'm hearing right now. Like, what?
Zenith would have the best time. I'm just saying, you'd have a great time, Zen. Like,
I said on the I said on the other show where I was like, I'm waiting for the moment where like Hannah's in like some Final Fantasy 14 bathroom just doing coke and like going on some like virtual dance floor. I honestly feel like she's living the life she wants to live, like in the virtual world from the comfort of her own
like
home.
the safest too. You could be in your pajamas and go clubbing. Are you kidding?
It's because I'm not naturally like a club person. I think like the last time I was in a place where there are a lot of people like singing and dancing was TwitchCon 2018. Like I think that was like the last time. I'm too much of an introvert for it. Like, you know.
It was
So
You might like Second Life then.
Yeah. Oh, I've heard
Is that
about
still
Second
a
Life.
thing?
Is that
Is
still a
Second
thing?
Life-
Yeah.
I gotta look it up.
Absolutely.
I
It's
thought
still
that
a
was
thing,
the-
and Linden
I thought it was the
Linden
metaverse
Labs actually
now.
reacquired it. So no, that's completely different. So Facebook owns Metaverse, and then Second Life, the Linden Labs tried to release Sanzar, which I mean it did release. It was like a VR world thing, but then Linden Labs decided to go back to Second Life, and I think they let go of Sansar.
Oh, I need to get one of these headsets if I can. Oh, someone needs to do that. Like the Final Fantasy 14 club experience, do one of those like PlayStation VRs or whatever, or an Oculus.
I don't know if I would like that. I feel like it would freak me out.
It freaks me out that she's doing it the way she's doing it. Where I'm like, girl, are
Listen,
you
I'm having
okay?
a great time.
I'm like, are you okay?
I'll send you guys the pictures. You know,
I would love to see.
yes, I'll send you guys.
There's going to be.
everything.
I'm imagining some intervention skit now with Hannah.
I'm writing up the draft.
You're writing up the draft. Good, let's go.
Listen,
Let's
you
go.
have to have an intervention for Dustin and for Meg and for the rest of us. Listen, I'm not going down by myself.
Their lives are their own. We're concerned about you. You know. Zen. I'm on to Zen. Zen, what have you been playing?
Well, I was actually gonna update the list on the super secret hidden documents that you guys can't see in chat. So obviously I've been playing a lot of Elden Ring, and because like we were talking about Breath of the Wild, and like we were talking about the good things about Breath of the Wild, but there's a lot of things about Breath of the Wild that I either don't like, and also it scares me from about like what we're going to expect with Breath of the Wild too. Like, are we going to experience more of the same? Because like as great as the open world gameplay in a Zelda game is, I prefer worlds that have like more substance, because I don't bother with I've maybe in my entire playthrough of Breath of the Wild, the most amount of side quests I've done is a total of 9. Side quests.
Were they all Kurok seeds or whatever? Did you find 9 Kurok seeds and that was it?
That's like the stuff you get like along the way. By the time you manage to finish the side quest, you've gotten already double the amount of things what the reward ends up being anyway. It's like, oh, thank you for this, my 300th opal.
What am I going to do with the 300th opal? 299 was kind of a rough one. What am I going to do with the 300th? So here's a question for you. So what are you determining as side quests? Like, because obviously, if spoiler alert for anyone that hasn't done Breath of the Wild, I'm going to imagine that people are going to start jumping on it pretty soon because of the announcement of the second game. But here's a mild spoiler here. You need to achieve a certain number of hearts to go get the Master Sword. So, and to achieve the Master Sword and get those hearts, you have to go through what are they? The temples, I think is what they call them, if I remember right.
Yeah, the shrines.
The shrines, that's right, the shrines. So, like, are you doing just the bare minimum amount of shrines so you can progress, or are the shrines part of the quest for you? That's a valid question, I think.
Pretty much anytime I play Breath of the Wild, I try and get through like the bare minimum, meaning go do all 4 divine beasts. Now, I used to do just enough shrines so I can get like the 13 hearts so I can get the Master Sword, but now there's actually a little neat trick where if you go up to the Master Sword, you put a pile of wood right next to it, light it on fire, and then what you do is you look straight up into the sky, you rest at the bonfire until morning, and then quickly spam the A button, and then you'll pick it up even if you have 3 hearts. So you no longer need 13 hearts to get the Master Sword. So now it's like, all right, guys, we have 7 hearts. We're done. I'm out of here. Bye.
Are you speed running this thing? Because that's amazing.
I could.
There's a guy
13 hearts.
There's a guy on TikTok. Like, there's a guy on TikTok that literally, like, all he does is he like posts Zelda Breath of the Wild glitches.
Yeah, I've seen him.
He does wild things with like the rocks and the bomb, and like it's wild. It's the skill level people have at these games is just like ridiculous to me.
Yeah,
well, I'm like, I have too many other games I want to play. Like, I can't sit there and figure out bomb hacks.
So I realize, like, the more cynical of like I get more like just kind of like just like a bit nervous about Breath of the Wild 2 the more I play Elden Ring, because Elden Ring, like, yes, people will say, okay, so this is a very difficult game. Okay, this is a challenging game that, like, it might not be like I might not be able to beat it because of my skill level, because it requires, you know, not a lot of like not only a lot of patience, but just like a lot of skill that is just like too much to learn. But the thing that Elden Ring does so well is it fleshes out its environment so much, where every single corner of the world there's like some kind of like secret item that can where you can find like a spell, a skill, or a weapon that's really good. Because like I remember halfway through my gameplay, I'm not gonna like spoil exactly what happens for anyone that does want to pick up Elden Ring, where I went back and got this sword, and it literally gave me Dragon Ball Z Kamehameha laser, and allows me to set things on fire, and it made the game so much easier. Because I hit a point where I was fighting against these bosses that like were completely just dominating me, and no matter like how many people I had helping me, I just could not do it. But when I was able to find something and spend the time leveling up and getting different gear and using different skills and spells, I realized that I can give myself like an actual advantage. Which so. How far into Elden Ring did you say that you played?
Me? I got to Margit, and then I was like, yeah, no, I'm out. I literally did the whole SpongeBob meme thing where he's like getting up on the chair and he's like, yo, I'm out. Like, no, so I get the concept of it. And honestly, I don't even really think that the Souls games are difficult per se. Yes, they're hard, but I think it's more of a test of patience. I think the patience testing is the real difficulty for those games, because as you play them and get through them, you go through and you play them and you hear them. I don't know why I said hear them, but you go and you play them, and you're doing this whole thing. I'm like watching the chat too. I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah, I'm like, that's where my eyes are too.
I am so sorry.
It's okay.
Oh, Lesh, there's an emote in the chat of like Lesh. I'm assuming that's Lesh's emote walking and going away. And I'm like, yeah, that's me. I was like, yeah, I'm out. So no, I'm still trying to do it. I've got to Margit, which is the first boss, quote unquote, and I'm getting just stomped.
Yeah.
And I'm like level 15, and I'm like, okay.
That's why.
See, that's
Right.
why
That's
I
why.
won't buy it, because like for me, if I just know if people are struggling the first boss, I'm like, I can't. Like you said, it's a test of patience. I don't have that. Like,
I will
Lesh
fail.
is
I will
nodding
fail
in
really
agreement.
bad.
Like Lesh is nodding
That's
in
me.
agreement. Like, I don't have the patience with this either.
I don't.
So there's a little beauty about this, and you said that you were level 15 when you went against the boss, but here's the great thing. The game doesn't really tell you that you don't have to go this way just yet.
So I'll let me touch. I think let me kind of touch on what I experienced and what I think is brilliant about this. So you
Okay.
go up this path, you do the first bonfire thing, or I forget what they call them in Elden Ring, but it's the bonfire.
Yeah.
And then you go this one direction, and you end up at this camp, and you take out these guys at the camp, which takes a little bit of challenge. You take out these guys at the camp, and then you go up this other path straight away, and there's this big gigantic org looking thing that early in the game looks like boss level status.
Hmm.
And then you're kind of like, oh crap, I've got to deal with this guy, right? And here's what I got. This is where I got into this. Is I was like, okay, I spent an hour, 2 hours trying to take down this big dude, right? Where in the reality, the game kind of is like, you don't have to do that. Just run past them. So like you run past this big gigantic boss dude, right? And then you get to the second area, which leads you up the path to where Margit is. But then you get to Margit and you're underpowered and you can't beat Margit. So now you're in this position like, oh crap, I have to go back and kind of level up. So it's almost like the game gives you these ways to like get past this stuff and think you're doing it. And you're like, yeah, I don't have to deal with this right now. But when in reality, the game's like, no, buddy, you have to go back and you have to level up so you can take this on. And
Yeah.
I think it's sheer brilliance in terms of like thinking in gameplay, because very few games I think do that, where it gives you this impression like you're done and you're ready to go. But no, you're not. You got to go back.
Yeah.
It kind of forces you to go back and level up.
Yeah, like what the game actually really does brilliantly with that like first boss is like even though like you can go straight there, but if you're like, okay, this guy is really difficult, maybe I should go and explore the world, see if I can find better stuff. And then like if you go all the way south, like there's this whole south continent that is like I would say about 10 to 15 hours of content and some really good stuff you can find there. And then by the time you're done all that stuff, like you don't even have to like 100% it. You come back and it's like, wait, I'm level 35, and then all of a sudden Margit is easy.
Right.
So and that's what
the
the
other
game
thing
does
too,
really,
that
really well.
the other thing that gets me too is if you do need to get to level 25 or 30 or whatever to take on Margit for the first, like to actually successfully beat the first boss, it takes several hours to get to that level 25. So you're spending a couple of hours leveling up in this game just to keep going.
Well, the great thing that the game does is it includes all these like different dungeons that have bosses that like when you defeat them, you get a bunch of rooms to level up, and then there's like a scattered around the world. Like you look for these like places where it looks like it's a bunch of tombstones and they're open, and if you go by them, you pick up like a whole bunch of like those consumable runes. So if you go around finding all these things and then finding like a couple things that you don't really need, or you can just sell them, and then eventually also you can find like upgrading materials to try and like help you feel like get a bit of an advantage despite like whatever level you're at. And then you so that it actually like it gives you something to do, because like in normal Souls games, I've had to just farm the same monsters over and over and over again. I have never had to farm in the game so far. I'm like level 148, and I have never been in an area just to farm enemies. And
what's
I'm still
the cap? Does anyone know what the cap?
Something like level 720.
Jesus Christ.
But like, but I pretty much like what I love so much about it. Like this is probably my favorite thing is there's a lot of like really hidden stuff. Like there was just like a good reason for me to go check out this like little place like right behind the hill, because like all of a sudden you find like this dungeon, or we find this NPC, and then all of a sudden you get on this elevator. It's like, okay, so let's take this. Maybe it's just takes me to like one little thing that's treasure. No, there's a whole wide world over here, and it's like, what do you mean this is like 10-15 hours of content? I could have easily missed this. And it's actually fantastic, like how much stuff is like hidden right in this game. If you for those that.
So your recommendation to me, what do you think your recommendation? Because I'm a level 50. Are you saying I should just go and explore the game even more and just start digging in caves and all this kind of stuff?
Yeah, go on explore. And as a matter of fact, north of the castle where you're going, you can actually just keep going, and then there's like a wide area that's like it's a bit more difficult. But if you're struggling with the boss and you just want to go somewhere and get more stuff, if you can try and like get more things for leveling up, like you can actually just go ahead and do that, and just bypass like all those the boss battles until you're ready.
So you're actually selling me on this? Like I'm like, I'm like, maybe.
Because it's very actually like... it's very Skyrim. It's very Skyrim in a sense, because there's a lot of exploration, and there's a lot. It's very Skyrim if you strip out the difficulty part of it.
Yeah.
It's
I'll think about it. I'll do a little bit more research before I like drop my what is it, $69?
Your 60-70 bucks.
Yeah.
For Breath of the Wild and other open world games, I struggle to get into them because there's too much stuff to do, or too much filler stuff, or not enough exciting stuff. Elden Ring is like the first open world game where I was genuinely excited to explore every corner of the map, because there's always something fun and exciting there. Like you go to this one area, and there's like some kind of like tower of that has like an eye of Sauron from Lord of the Rings. I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on here?
Wow.
And it's really, really cool.
That's
I think the thing that gets me about this is one thing that annoys me about games like this is there's too many items to like level your character with, to the point where I don't know what I'm supposed to be using. Like, and a lot of times it spams you with these item collection things, like you can use this, you can use this, you can use this, and then you're kind of like, well, which one of these do I actually need? Horizon does this too, especially in the second game, where they just spam you with so many different types of bows and spears and javelins and stuff, where you're kind of like, which one's the good one? Which one's the bad one? I like that stuff kind of streamlined. And I like the whole, okay, this one's better than this one, I need this one, obviously. Now, I understand, like, when these open world games, there's different enemies that will require different tools because they have different weaknesses. Makes sense.
That's how The Witcher was.
Yeah. Whereas kind of like that stuff gets overwhelming to me, where it's like, what do I do with this? Or it's like, oh, you can craft this, that's this, this, and this to make this, which crafts this. And then I'm kind of like, that's too much, dude. Like, just
it's like you just want to play the game. Like,
right. And I think honestly, a lot of this is to stretch your dollar. The stories in these games have gradually gotten shorter over the years. Games like the original, Link to the Past and stuff used to take upwards of 25, 30 hours because of the difficulty and the lack of saves. Or like the original Resident Evil, the original PlayStation 1 Resident Evil, which was difficult beyond all belief. Like, it stretched that game into several hours. Whereas now a lot of these games are in that 15 to 20 hour mark. They're shaving off 10 to 15 hours of these games, but they fill it with a lot more content to extend it. Like, the crafting and the fetch quest and all that kind of stuff. This is becoming a very commonplace type of thing where the story is very short, but all the side stuff they add to it, extends the life of the game. I also have something that... Oh, go ahead.
So it's kind of like Final Fantasy VII with all those like weird mini games, but like actually not making it optional to progress the story.
Right. It's kind of, it's one of those, was the Golden Saucer, which was one of the clubs Hannah was hanging out in.
No, they have a Golden Saucer in the game. Like, it's not like one of the clubs. Like, I go and I get my MGP so I can like buy more stuff.
When you said my MGP, and I was like, oh, so that's the drugs in the game. Pal had a hard time believing that there was drug running in Star Wars. Every time you watch, because we've been watching Obi-Wan
Mhm.
and we watched The Mandalorian, and every time they talk about the spice, that's literally the slang for drugs. And
I literally thought it was spice. Like that's
No.
how my brain. I was like, oh, spices. That's
Oh.
nice.
it's kind of like it's kind of like a drug. It's
You sweet summer child.
yeah. Zenith, you might get a kick out of this. I did purchase a new coffee mug for
I saw.
the Zelda randomizer and you. Which one? I'm on this one. It says it's dangerous to go alone. Drink this.
That's cute.
Hey.
Oh, that
Hey.
one's nice. Where'd you
Thank
get that
you.
one?
One of my mods bought it for me.
Aw.
Aw, that's
I
a
know you.
beautiful mug. If that mod happens to be watching this show right now, if they can drop the link to that, I'd appreciate it. That's a very nice mug.
Also got. Actually, no. I thought that was a Zelda mug, but no, it's my own merch.
You can plug your own merch here. That's fine.
All right, fine. All right. Okay. It has to be
So
washed, but yeah.
cute.
Can I get one of those? I need to order one of these.
Really?
Actually, it's the perfect combination. If you're listening to this, Zenith has his own merch, and it's his own little caricature emote, and it's holding a Zelda mug.
Ooh, I like
I
that.
can kill two
Tumblr.
birds. I can kill two birds with one stone. I'm gonna buy that
Right.
Zenith mug and have the Zelda thing on it and everything.
Nice.
I'm all about it. Okay, good. You guys in here obviously are mods. You can plug those links, if you want to do it in the chat.
All right, if you insist.
He's like, yeah, I got to do this. While Zenith handles that, actually, Zenith, is there anything else you're playing, or is it all Elden Ring this week?
Well, I mean, pretty
I
much.
know
like
you're a randomizer. I know you do Zelda randomizers
Yeah,
on stream. So,
I've
like,
been
what are we
doing-
randoming?
So, aside from the Zelda randomizers, which I will just quickly touch on that in just a short little bit, is I've been playing some Stardew Valley with friends, and I have a problem with Stardew Valley where, like, my old problem was I would play until the first week of summer, and then I would go off, play something else, and then just completely forget about it. By the time I want to play Stardew Valley again, it's like, I don't know what I was doing on this farm. I'm just going to start a brand new one. And then just like wash, rinse, repeat.
I was
every single
showing
time.
my girlfriend Stardew Valley, and I think she might be into it.
I think she would like it. I think Pal would really like it.
I'm scared to boot up the whole Animal Crossing thing because when you like are gone from Animal Crossing for a long, long time and you go to Island and then the characters are like,
The town's on
"Yo,
fire.
I missed." I was like, "Yo, bro, I missed you. Where have you
Where
been?"
have you been?
Yeah,
Right.
and then you feel like a
I
complete
thought you
asshole.
forgot about me. Yeah.
I don't know what's up Nintendo's ass, but they really are good at making me feel guilty about not playing a damn game because these characters are like, "We missed you. Where have you been?" And I was like, "Bruh, I work a 9 to 5." You know,
And then the weeds are growing everywhere.
Pow totally picked the weeds in my thing. Like I was like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "Oh, I'm just picking the weeds." She's like, "I cleaned it. I haven't touched that game in."
It's super satisfying though.
Yeah.
To clean the weeds and like get your town all looking fresh.
I haven't touched the game since the turnip market like crashed, where it was like the big old thing and people were
Oh
building
my
like
God.
turnip islands and all that stuff. I was fat cash rich. I was like,
I remember
rolling in
like
it.
one of my last Animal Crossing memories was actually with Zen, because Zen and I were talking about, oh, we have to go visit each other's islands, and like we never did. Like I
It's
think we
fine.
just it was like during COVID, and like I was just like, yeah, and then like it just never happened.
Never happened.
we did the game of the year discussion 2019, I think, or 2020, whenever Animal Crossing came out, because that was one of the
2020.
games of the year. Like that was one of the most talked about games of the year. And I still stand by my statement where I feel like if the pandemic didn't happen, Animal Crossing wouldn't have been as big on the radar as it was. Animal Crossing was the perfect pandemic game.
Yes.
Sure.
It's,
There's a lot of people who like obviously I love the Animal Crossing series, so I would have bought it
Yeah.
either way. But there are people who did not even know about the Animal Crossing series,
Right.
but because of the pandemic, they're like, oh, I guess I'll pick it up. And yeah,
I remember
They-
Switches. People couldn't even get a
Yup.
Switch.
couldn't find the Switches. Yep.
I
It was
called
perfect.
Best Buys. And a lot of them at the time wouldn't even answer the call. Like they'd be like, yeah, no, like go online, like an automated voice recording. I called some random Costco like 30 minutes from Pow's work, and they were like, yeah, we have them. And I was like, girl, you need to go. They have them.
Be right there.
Yeah, she was like, I'm gonna go take my lunch break. See ya. And then she like went back and she had a Switch, but like they were hard to get.
Yeah, they were. I pre-ordered mine, so I was lucky because I pre-ordered the Animal Crossing one before like the pandemic was a thing. So I was like, oh well, at least I know I'm getting one. Like it stinks for everybody else who's been trying.
I knew it was wild because I got lucky and I got like the Gen 2 one with the better battery and all that kind of stuff. Like half a year into the pandemic or whatever, I got lucky and I ordered it. And then I put my old one online, like on eBay or whatever, because I had to make some of the money back. I put it at normal like price, like I think I even sold it underpriced, like under market value, like $250, $275, right? Because I had stuff with it and I sold it and it sold literally in 30 seconds.
Oh my God.
I put it up on eBay, went to go get coffee, came back and it was already sold.
Wow.
And I was like, that's when I knew stuff was rough. I'm like, Jesus, I wish I had 4 more switches to just like.
I'd like to get the OLED Switch though, because that's beautiful. Like the bigger
I want one
screen.
too.
They had some at the Target we went to, and I was like, no.
They're not that hard to find. Like OLEDs, yeah. But we're at that stage of the game now too, where like the Switch is like 6 years into its life, so it's getting towards that.
I'm like,
it's getting towards that hump. Yeah, it's getting towards that hump where it's kind of like, okay, it's underpowered now, and it kind of has to move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Nintendo always does this though. You'll know when it's getting to that point because like they've done this before. Like the 3DS turned into the new 3DS and then it turned into the 2DS XL and blah 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 blah. That's how they know. They keep kind of stretching it until the Switch came along and the new hardware showed up.
Yeah, they're milking as much as they can.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And we will buy it. That's the thing. We'll be like, yeah, sure, let's go.
Us Nintendo people are suckers.
Yes. You mentioned Animal Crossing being the perfect pandemic game. So the thing is, I was one of those people that not only pre-ordered Animal Crossing, but I also pre-ordered Doom Eternal. So, and that was also the perfect pandemic game because all those people were buying up all the toilet paper. Say, I need to get some rage out.
Jeez. But no, they even did like a cross, or somebody did some cross promotion thing where they like drew in Animal Crossing into the Doom poster, and I thought it was just brilliant. That's one of those things where that irks me. It's one of these things that irks me about like fandom, like video game fandom, where it's like, oh, Xbox this and Xbox that, blah 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 blah. Where all these like the Doom / Animal Crossing thing is the perfect example of like they're on the other end where they're just like, hey, let's just support each other.
Right. Yeah.
This happened during Breath of the Wild because Horizon has this record. I don't know what it is with Sony and Guerrilla and when they release the game, but like Horizon always comes out and then it gets overshadowed by a bigger game the next week. So like the first time around, they released Horizon Zero Dawn right after Breath of the Wild, or it was vice versa, but it was like a week difference of each other. It's like, that wasn't very smart, you know? But then again, people couldn't get Switches, so maybe it kind of worked in their favor. Sure. But then they did it again because they released Forbidden West, and then Elden Ring came out a week later. And Elden Ring was the most talked about game in probably the past 2-3 years. I don't know why they do it. I don't know what it is or what it is. But back to my point is when it happened during Breath of the Wild in the first Horizon, they literally had in their tweets, it's like, no matter which side you're on today or which, game you're playing, like, thanks for playing. That's all that really like mattered. So like when we don't do it here in this channel, but like people that argue about their fandom and their Xbox and like this and this and their PlayStation and all of that, it's like, just play the games. If you like the games, you play them. If one system has the games you like to play, go buy that system. Who cares?
Well, like, why do I want to make my hobby stressful? Like, I'm like, what?
I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like this thing where it's like, I need to feel like important or I need to justify the $500, $600 box that's sitting on my table, like that I spent, a week's salary on. Like, I don't know why people do it. I don't get it. But that's the whole thing. Lesh, what have you been playing?
Well, Fortnite. Lots of it.
Are you doing the no build mode?
Yeah, because I mean, I don't know if you guys were. Yeah, I think you remembered me when Fortnite first came out. I was addicted.
You were streaming a lot of Fortnite. I remember.
Yeah, and then kids just started getting better at me with the building, and like I would build like one little ramp, and they're freaking like 10 feet above me with towers like crazy. So then I quit the game for that reason, and no build mode came out, and it brought the love back for the game and slightly the addiction back. So I'm playing a lot of that. But then I'm also playing, like, there's a demo that was released recently, Wildflowers. A game apparently that has already been released for Apple, but I don't own any Apple devices, so I had no idea.
Is it on
but
that
was very
Apple
cute.
like arcade thing? Is that what it is?
Yes.
That's their
Yep.
little game platform. What is
Yep.
Wildflowers?
It's one of those cute little cozy games that I absolutely love, like the farming type games where
I have an iPhone. I'm going to go look it up.
Hannah's
Yeah.
already on it.
Yeah.
You said cozy
I
game, and
played
I was
the
like, give
demo.
me a second.
I played the demo on Steam, and I was so sad that it was just a demo. So apparently, obviously the premise, you're going to either your grandfather or your grandmother's place. This time you're going to your grandmother's. You're going to help her run her farm, but then you also find out that she's a witch. And that
What
you're
a wild
witch,
turn of events.
right? And it's like, but it's a cute, cozy game. So I didn't get as far into the game, obviously, because the demo just kind of cuts you off right in the store, and you're like, oh no! Like, but it's
Grandma,
a very amazing.
Grandma,
game.
why is there a wood stake and a bunch of burned coal out in the front lawn? Like,
This
Not
looks
that kind of
really
witch, but-
cute. Like it's
Yeah.
very like cozy vibes. Like
Yes.
Ooh, nice.
but she's a
Would-
witch. You're supporting a witch. It looks like Animal Crossing almost, from what I can tell in the frame here.
yeah.
It feels like it. Yeah.
Is there
I'm
like
gonna
a Hagrid that says, "You're a witch, Harriet"?
I haven't gotten that yet.
Oh,
Maybe.
please! If you're gonna drop Harry Potter spoilers or whatever, or you're gonna talk Harry Potter references, I'm only up to book 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've never. I've only seen the first movie, and that's it.
Oh, Lash is
Ah.
further behind than me.
I wasn't a huge Harry Potter fan.
I was a little old for it. Like, it came out when I was like a senior in high school, junior or senior. So I was
I
kind of
came out
like,
when I was in elementary school. Like
Yeah,
it
see,
was like
that's-
we had the Scholastic Book Fair, and that was like the big thing that was
oh,
promoted.
I missed the book
Yes.
fair, dude. I came from the Goosebumps era where mom would slip me $4 or
Same.
$5, and I'd be like, "Yo, where's
Mhm.
the Goosebumps?" And then you
No,
get to that like junior high age, and then you're like, you know what? I want the Fear Street. And
Oh,
then
Eric,
you're
did
like,
you get those Choose Your Own Adventure Goosebump books?
yeah.
Yeah, we had
That
They
those.
were
I didn't know
so
that
good.
existed.
I was kind of on a small mission to like hunt Goodwills and try to find the full 62 book set or whatever it is,
Mhm.
and kind of like have it. But then I was like, do I really need all these? You know, like,
Just to have it.
what am I? Yeah, just to have it. I'm getting to that age too where it's kind of like, do I really need to keep collecting this type of stuff? Like this nostalgia
No,
trip that
I've
gets
been
me.
purging. I've been purging so much stuff. I'm like,
Yeah.
too much.
But that was on my
But you
mission.
know, Leshkee, now that you like, I know that you're back to playing Fortnite. Like, Fortnite's a game that like I've always kind of wanted to play, but I just never had people to play with. So I'm totally down to play with you if you can
Yeah.
handle me just like as a new beginner. I've only played like a few times, but the building mode always turned me off.
Yes.
I'm like, I don't have like the motor skills
can't
right
do
now
it.
to be like, trying to like figure out how to build a wall, or like I just don't move that quickly.
I saw
Like,
It's just
some- I saw some
macros and stuff.
TikTok.
Mm-mm.
I saw some TikTok, and like the dude was doing the building, and it was like just like a fury of clicking and mouse movements and da 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 da
Yeah.
da. And I was like, that dude's girlfriend's satisfied because it's just literally like, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah, no, it's just gotten like it's crazy to just even see. They did I think I was watching like a Twitch Rivals, and they were doing a building competition, and literally it's what it was. It's just they were just spinning in circles, and going up and up and up. And I'm just like, what in the?
I
thought
don't
it
figure
was
out
like
how
to-
like they do it, because like the camera literally spins and they're just clicking and pressing buttons, and I'm like, how do you even know where you're placing anything?
Yeah,
That's
So-
one of
Apparently
those.
they have like hotkeys for like all their building things. It's
Yeah.
like, I don't have spider fingers. I can't do this.
I know.
And then they do their like, you ever notice too? Like I noticed too, because I do this a little bit, is like their keyboard, those pro players, their keyboard's always at like a weird angle
Mhm.
yes.
where it's like
mine actually does that too.
Yeah.
I actually tend to like, I guess, move it a
yeah,
little
I
bit. so
turned
that I don't have
mine
to do
like
strain too
I
much.
turned mine slightly to the right, and it's like less movement in the wrist.
That's what I
Yes.
do if I'm healing, like in dungeons on.
Yeah,
On,
it's
like,
pretty
WoW
it's
or
pretty
Final
pretty
Fantasy.
wild. Is it so Fortnite no build mode? Sounds like
Yes.
sounds like some content we can throw up here on the Good People Media Group channel.
Yay.
Hannah and Leshkee,
Yeah.
no build mode. I'm
Leshkee
tempted to go
carries
try it again.
Hannah.
Yeah, I'm tempted to go try it again.
If we get my friend Fluffy in chat to play too, she actually carries me. So
Oh, there you go. Carry to carry to carry. Russian doll that bad boy. But anything else aside from the Fortnite, or has that been your jam all this week?
it's been my jam a lot recently. I'm kind of waiting for Overwatch 2. come out.
We're gonna talk about
beta is
Overwatch
soon.
2. We're
Yeah.
gonna talk about Overwatch 2 just at the end of the hour here. So I myself, I finished Skyward Sword. So for those that don't know, I played a lot of Zeldas. A lot of them I haven't finished. I will be honest, I haven't finished a lot of Zeldas, but I've played a lot of them.
Mm.
Because I play them and then I kind of move on to other stuff as things go along. But like now I'm on a mission to finish all of them. Some of them I probably won't get through, like the spirit tracks where I got to blow into a Nintendo DS and all that weird stuff. I don't know if I'm going to do that. But the core ones, your Twilight Princesses, your Wind Wakers, all that. So I'm going to try and beat all these.
Mm.
I never played Skyward Sword, period, though. Because it was on the Wii and I didn't have a Wii in my apartment at the time. And then the motion control thing, like, totally turned me off. I didn't want to be that weirdo sitting with my roommates going like this. Like with my Wiimote trying to, yeah, exactly. And then to look at you like, dude. But like, I'll be honest with you, I hated that game. Zenith's probably gonna look at me and be like, "I kind of agree." He has the half look. Like
It's my least favorite 3D Zelda game, and it's not really so much about the motion controls. It's the fact that like the game would have been fine if it was done 10 hours earlier, because the last 10 hours of the game is
thank you.
Point
It's
A
too long.
to point B. I was bored. I was tired. It's like, no,
it's too
please
long.
don't send me back in here. I'm not doing Under the Sea. This is like honestly like that Farron Woods place where you're underwater. It brought
And you
back
got to collect
Atlantica.
the music notes.
Yeah, it brought back Kingdom Hearts 1 Atlantica
Oh god,
vibes.
we don't talk about that game here.
I was screaming internally that entire world.
But I wholeheartedly agree. I was like, this game is too long. And on paper, it's not that long for a Zelda game. It's like 30 hours, which is about the average. But like, I'm playing this game and I'm like, for those that don't know, Skyward Sword revolves around 4 worlds, like Farron Woods and Elden or whatever, the volcano one, and what's the other one?
The desert.
The desert, yeah. Lenaru Mine and stuff like that, right? It revolves around these 4 key areas of the game. And I think the difficulty is that once you get through the 4 corners of the world there and you beat all 4 regions of this game, then you're like, okay, cool, I'm ready to go tackle the main stuff now. Like, I'm ready to go take this guy down. And then it's like, no, you got to go back to these 4 worlds and unlock. And you have to do multiple things to finish each of these 4 worlds the first time around. You got to do this quest, this quest, this quest, and then finally you finish that world. Then you move on to the next one. So you can see where the game's like, no, we got to go back and do it again. And then it gives you more quests for each world. And I'm like, this is too damn long. Mm-hmm. Like, my patience is run thin. I'm getting tired. And I was telling Hannah on Good People with Erik and Hannah, I was like, I'm at the point now where I'm just looking at the guide, not because I can't do it, but because I just want to get through it. Mm-hmm. It's like, I just want to finish this and I just want to move on. I finally beat it, and I will say the end was did meet the reward. It was very satisfying ending, I think. Mm. It was kind of interesting because it actually takes place before any Zelda in the series. It tells you how the Master Sword was forged and how the Triforces came to be and all stuff. It's actually a great story at the end, and the ending was very fitting. I think Groose was fantastic. He was like the Biff from Back to the Future, where he's just a complete asshole, and then he's humbled at the end. You know, and it's like, okay, cool. But this is one of those ones where, like, I finished it. I took it out of the Switch. It went right back in the case and back on the shelf, and it'll probably never be touched again. And I'm just like, nope, I can't do this again. It was way too damn long.
I'm done with this.
Yeah, I'm going to move on.
That was one of the games where I traded it as soon as I was done. It's like, I have no plans of coming back. Then again,
I won't trade it because I'm working on actually having a full Zelda collection. Like, I'm actually physically working on having a physical collection of every Zelda game, variants included. And I'm getting close. I'm getting the first American release stuff done. Like, I'm very close. I think I'm missing honestly, the only ones I'm missing are the really expensive GameCube ones that are like $100 now. And I'm just, some of them are $100-$150.
Oh,
Yep.
I couldn't justify it.
Dokapon Kingdom for Wii sells for like $400 on eBay.
Jesus. That's
oh my God.
There's someone when I was streaming, last year or the year before, someone brought up Pokemon Box. And it's not even a game. It's just a GameCube like storage locker for your Pokemon, and it syncs with the Game Boy Advance, whichever game was on that at the time. And that game is literally upwards of $1,000. And I was like, what? It's just a storage unit. Pokemon people are weird. I'm sorry. Like, they're crazy.
There. I married one.
Wait, who married one?
I married a Pokemon person.
Dustin's a Pokemon person?
Oh my gosh. Like, the other day, he brought, like, before my birthday, he got me Nintendo Switch Sports because I really wanted it.
Ooh.
But it was also his excuse to go and buy, like, a full thing of Pokemon cards. Like, we're talking about, like, the 32, like, and where is his little binder he was showing me? He was standing right here. He's like, look
he
what
has
I
the
got.
binder?
Like, yeah.
Like the middle school binder of Pokemon cards?
And I was like, did you really use my birthday to go buy me a birthday gift as an excuse to go and get this, like, big old pack of Pokemon cards? And he's like, yeah.
I mean, I was there.
Yes, I was there. Like, the guy at GameStop was really nice, and I was like, that's great.
You will find out, Hannah and Lesh, now that you're married, that guys will do a lot of things that are not necessarily for your favor or your benefit.
Oh, I know.
But it will be.
We have like a whole episode planned. Leshkee and I can like.
That's coming. There is an episode in the works. But like, yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, did you really do this to go do this? And I'll be like, yeah. This happens with my girlfriend all the time. Like, we have a comic book swap meet we go to. Mm-hmm. And Pal works on the weekend, so I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna go to the comic book swap meet and be like, what do you need? And she's like, you're not just going for me, right? And I said, yeah. And then I do that like eye roll thing. No, but I always like go. We always do that where it's like, do you need anything? And like, what are you looking for? But you'll find out a lot of times like guys do things just to do them, and it's really not to the benefit of you. You're the cover up actually, so you don't get mad.
Oh, I know.
Wait till the bank statement starts showing up, and you're like, what the hell is all of this? And
that's what I told him. I'm like, babe, we haven't bought groceries yet. Like, that could, like, these
priorities.
I'm like,
he's gonna start like growing like a farm in the backyard, like a little like plant of like apples and bananas and stuff, just and vegetables.
There's your groceries.
There's your groceries. Now we don't have to leave. But yeah, it's funny. And we also built so on top of that too, there's a couple things I've got coming down the pipe. So I also started working on Metroid Dread, the Dark Souls-esque version of Metroid. This thing's tough. It's tough, so I'm going to hammer it out, but it's probably one of the best Metroids I've ever seen or played. I'm also a big Metroid person. I love Metroid a lot. So I'm like, this game's pretty rad. And then we are almost done with Horizon Forbidden West. I'm like in platinum mode now. Like I'm working towards the trophy. I have one main mission left to go and like a million side things just so I can get this trophy.
That's good.
I think there's like 59 trophies and I'm at like 49 or something like that. Like I'm almost done. And this is going to be one of those games that gets locked away where it's like, I think I'm done.
So between like the first one and the second one, has the first been your favorite?
The first one, I think, to me was a much more enjoyable game. Mm-hmm. I think the first one, plus it's like that first game nostalgia or like that first game impact where you're like, wow, this is actually really, really cool. Like this is cool stuff that's happening. And then, as you get into sequels, it's like they just take what they did the first time around and
it's familiar to you. So
yeah,
it's
they
like
build on it
like...
and make it bigger and all that kind of stuff. But I think the first game. You might enjoy the second one more depending on how you are. I will say, because you're playing the first, like Aloy's character comes out a lot more in the second game.
Yeah.
She's much more
That's what I've
like
heard.
confident and flamboyant and energetic and all that kind of stuff. It makes for a real interesting story for her. But I'm getting there. I'm almost done with it. We are working on Doom 2016. I've never played Doom 2016. I picked them both up on Steam when they were on sale, and I'm ready to hammer this. Doom brings back so much nostalgia. I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
I went back to that era of like 94, 95, like Windows PC pixelated Doom.
That was like I remember sitting on my dad's lap while he would play Doom.
Your dad's such a
like,
cool dude.
On like the Macintosh, because like we had like one of those old Macintosh computers, like the gray block ones.
The blocks.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Your dad's a cool dude. You're just sitting on his lap while he plays the most violent video game of the era. Like,
and now you look at it, it's like no big deal, but like at the time, people are like, "Oh my gosh, this is violent."
I remember being like terrified playing Quake back then, because like that I found like was even more scary than Doom.
I loved
Quake. I
Quake.
don't know what that is. Let me look.
That was my first game ever. Was Quake.
Really?
Yeah, my dad, because obviously back in the day, for you kids out there, LAN didn't really exist, so all of us kids had our own little computers in the room, also hand-me-downs from my dad, and then so he wired the whole entire house so that we were all connected via LAN.
That's
from our
so
own little rooms.
Cool.
And the game that we chose was Quake.
That's so cool.
I actually did when I was doing like some of my first IT classes at the junior college, like a decade ago. My final project for that was we wired up the 6 computers, and we did
wow.
I think we did either Quake or Half-Life. I don't remember which one it was, but we did one of those. And like I was sitting in a room with a bunch of old dudes, and they were like all stoked on this whole concept, and they were having a great. And the teacher's getting like annoyed. He's kind of like, "Come on, guys, we're supposed to be measuring like bandwidth and latency and all this kind of stuff. There's a purpose behind this," and everyone's just having a good time. But that was one of my closing projects in junior college. We built a LAN to play all those games.
Yeah, we geeked out over it.
It was a good time. I harken back to the era a lot. I think things were a lot different back then, and it's hard to say. I don't want to say it was more fun, but it definitely had a vibe. There was something different about sitting in a room with a bunch of your friends,
yeah,
in person on a couch or in a LAN room playing a bunch of games like that together. There's a vibe behind it. I miss it a lot. Which, before we wind out before the break here, that's one of the purposes behind this kind of show, is to bring back some of that kind of nostalgia and that discussion and those topics. And, as we progress through that show, we'll see what happens here. So Hannah and I came up with this fun idea. Before we go to the break, we're going to go around the panel here, and we're going to ask what your favorite game is. Now, you may have a couple, and that's perfectly okay. But so we'll start with Hannah, who's to my right here. Hannah, go ahead and tell the team what your favorite game is.
I mean, everyone already knows this, like, if you're familiar with me, but I'm a huge World of Warcraft person. And see, Zen's like, I knew this.
She's one of those.
Yeah. So World of Warcraft, but like in general, like I'll give you like my top like 4 in a way. Like I love role-playing games, specifically around like a fantasy kind of vibe. So The Witcher 3, Dragon Age, like the Dragon Age series, World of Warcraft, and then like anything from BioWare, like Mass Effect, stuff that you make decisions and there are consequences to like the decision making. I love story-based games, but number 1 all-time favorite, been playing since I was 13 years old. I think I have like 144 plus days of playtime on it, World of Warcraft.
You're getting some fandom in the chat right now. If you're listening to this, Hannah's getting some fandom in the chat when she mentioned I've never touched a Dragon Age, so
I love Dragon Age so much. Like I'm holding off from replaying it because I'm hoping BioWare remasters it, because they remastered Mass Effect. So I'm like waiting for them to remaster Dragon Age before I go back into it.
They're the same.
To replay it.
They're the same type of game, right? Just a different setting Okay.
Different setting, different story and everything, but same
Yeah.
kind of like layout in a way, like with the whole decision making aspect.
I have them. I have the Dragon Age games sitting on Steam there. I'll fire one of them up and maybe I'll make something with it. We'll do that. Anything else before we wind down, or is this Dragon Age and Mass Effect and World of Warcraft? That's your
Yeah, pretty much. Like, I would say, I'm sure other things are gonna pop in my head, but like whenever anyone asks what's your favorite video game of all time, World of Warcraft, like number one. Even though it's had its issues and like when you're like so devoted to like a game, kind of like what Zen was saying, he's like worried about like where the Zelda franchise is kind of gonna go steer. That's how I feel about World of Warcraft. It's like because I've seen it kind of steer in ways that like I'm not too happy about. Like they just like basically butchered one of my favorite characters of all time with like horrible writing. And so that's hard because you take these characters and these stories to heart and you like spend so much time with them. So to see like something happen with it that like you're just not a big fan of, or it goes away from the integrity of like the character or the story, it's hard. So I'm a little bit worried about the direction that World of Warcraft is going to go in. And I have been like that for a while now.
the light at the end of the tunnel may be the fact that now that Microsoft owns it, maybe stuff will turn around. But we'll wait and we'll see what happens. Zenith, how about you? What is your favorite game?
Well, it is without a doubt Zelda Majora's Mask. And, so the reason for that being is you mentioned earlier in the podcast that Zelda has a very easy, straightforward storyline, whereas Majora's Mask, it has a lot of very intriguing story elements that go deeper than what is there on the surface, where it has like all these like different storylines and like there's a reason for pain, but there's also like a lot of it like leaves it up to interpretation. Is Link in Purgatory, is the land cursed? Was this all a dream? What was this and what is going on? Like I think like people have even theorized that the game represents the various stages of grief. So
yeah.
It's very fascinating. Sorry.
It's the dark child of like the Zelda series, because I think too,
It's very dark, too.
That's one of the ones I finished. And that is one of the ones where I realized like for a Zelda game, that's one of the games where you realize like that's you realize the impact of the stakes that are at hand. Because if you don't know Majora's Mask, go play Majora's Mask. But you basically have to stop a comet from striking this small town.
Yeah.
And destroying the town and killing the people. And
what
you
system was Majora's Mask?
Majora's Mask was Nintendo 64. You can also find it on 3DS in remake form. And I think they just added it. I can be corrected, but I think it was added to the N64 online thing in the Switch.
Yes it was.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, so if you're paying for the extra added plan there, you can play it. But the stakes are very high in Majora's Mask. Like you're the world, like the people of that particular town. And it's interesting because like Hyrule, it's the world of Hyrule that's at risk. But for some strange odd reason, you get attached to these people in the town because you interact a lot with them to progress the story. The bomber kids, and then there's that crazy quest where you have to reunite the couple that's separated, and it's like one of those heartbreaking things because you reunite them, and then the world's
literally like
ending.
2 hours before the moon crashes.
Yeah, before the moon crashes.
Yeah, and you all have only 3 days to like save the world too.
This sounds like it would have me all up in my feels, and I'm like,
I would do if you're gonna do if you're gonna do a Zelda, do Majora's Mask, but it's one of the more difficult ones.
I'll just have to like call up Zen and be like, listen, I need you to help me with this.
I mean, like, just don't be like me and play it with randomizers where all of a sudden people like get me to play it on like 3 times clock speed. Or every time I die, the moon crashes and I have to start over again.
But it's quite the story. Was there anything else that you had wanted to add, or is Majora's Mask it?
Well, that one's my ultimate favorite one, but aside from that, I am a big fan of Chrono Trigger. That was
very good.
You know, that definitely like changed something like with my childhood that was a bit different, where I had no idea about the concept of like the world ending or like the concept of time. Like that's why like I love games like Ocarina of Time and just things that like can be manipulated by time. So that was just absolutely fantastic. I really wish that they would do like a proper release of
I think it's coming.
or remake of Chrono Trigger, because like it's so good, but yet the Steam version is based off of the mobile version and it's absolutely garbage compared to the original version on the Super Nintendo.
I think I think I have some opinions. I think honestly, because it needs to be done, because that is one of the most iconic like RPGs of all time.
Yeah.
It's one of the best RPGs of all time. I think there might be some licensing problems or something with it, because the artwork, if you didn't know, was by the same gentleman that did Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah. Well, he's still helping out Square, because like they do the work for the Dragon Quest series.
Interesting. So I wonder if it's licensing between whoever owns Dragon Ball or whatever, like the likeness rights. You know, it's licensing's weird. He may have sold like, you know, Chrono Trigger may have been made by that company that he was working with that did Dragon Ball Z and all that stuff at the time, and then that company gets sold and now another company owns the rights to it. It's weird, but there's probably some kind of weird thing that's going on with it, or they're just saving it for when the time is right. Much like Final Fantasy VII, which we got the ultimate remake. You know,
yeah.
I think it's coming.
Yeah, I would like to. I mean, like they're doing like one for Live Alive, right? And like that, but mind you, that never saw English shores. But when they're doing all these things like this, like they're also doing like kind of like an HD 2D remake of Dragon Quest 3. So I like to think that it's coming, but we shall see. And the other my other favorite game that I played, like probably the most I played, was Diablo 2.
So
just get that off.
That there's big Diablo news this week too. So we'll
Blizzard, thanks.
He's like, Leshkee, what's your favorite game?
This is like super hard because I'm all over the place when it comes to video games. Like one week I love this game, another week I like another game, but I think I'll base it off of the games that I always go back to, and that's like the Sims series. Then you have obviously Fortnite and Overwatch are probably like the top 3 games that I love to play, and probably Minecraft too. But yeah, because I mean, I'm all over the place with games. I can't even think to pick just one that I love.
It's hard. And then you constantly evolve as a person, like, and you're like, oh, I like these games now.
Well, let me ask you, Leshkee. So you've played The Sims like all, like 1, 2, 3, 4, like all.
Yep.
Which is your favorite Sims? Like, where do you think that they got it right at least? Because I know it's
me,
it's different
Sims
for everybody.
2.
That's how I feel.
2 is
I think that was the one I loved the most. Don't get me wrong, like 3 and 4 are good and all, but like I don't know, I guess maybe 2 is just because that at that age it was like my most favorite game in the world.
I think 2 was kind of like 2 kind of like had this Wild West mentality of it too, because people were modding the hell out of it, and then EA kind of like neutered a lot of the modding over time. But like 2 just had this wild modding thing, like you could put anything in 2, you know. And I was like, whoa, really, you know, you could had wild stuff, build stripper poles in your house, the whole thing. And then it was like,
well, you can do that now
a lot, though. Yeah.
In Sims 4, there's a lot.
There's a lot of mods for Sims 4.
If any game ever benefited from like a monthly subscription, games as a service type thing, it would be The Sims and Pokemon. But, you know, we keep charging $20 expansion just to...
Yeah, we've talked about it. I'm sure Lesh feels the same way, and let me know if your thoughts. But like the problem is with The Sims, I felt like we got more content in like an expansion in The Sims 2 than we do now, and it's just like I don't even buy there. I always felt the need to buy expansions for The Sims 2 because I knew that there was going to be something in there, like hours worth of gameplay. Whereas now when EA announces a new expansion for The Sims, I'm like, I don't even know if it's going to be worth my money at the end of the day.
I just hate how they separated things out. Like, obviously, Sims 2, the expansion included all the, you know, cosmetics and
the cats,
furniture and stuff like that. Yeah, and things like that. And then now they have separate expansion packs, game packs, and stuff packs. And it's just like, you could tell that
it's almost
they
like
were doing it for the money.
Yeah, it's almost like the way it came up with a way to get more money out of you.
Yeah, exactly. Which I think that's what irritated me and made me, like, I'll wait until there's a big sale and then I'll buy
Mhm.
the expansion kind of thing. I no longer do a day
several
one.
$100s to like
Mhm.
fully like I can't no. Just charge me $20 a month at that point and we'll be fine.
I would do that.
I would
prefer
honestly,
that.
I would do that.
Like at this point, I think it's the sum of all the Sims 4 DLC. It's got to be upwards of about like $800 US. Probably more than that.
Oh my
Somebody has
God.
had to have done that. Let me see.
I just took a look at an article from like 2020, and back then it was $689.
Oh my gosh.
That's nuts. Yeah, no. You
Yeah.
realize like it won't be very good, but you can buy a car for $800 if you look hard enough. You know?
You look hard
That's true.
enough.
Yeah, furniture.
It
you
might
can
not
outfit your
work,
house.
but like,
You know.
Might have to push it a couple times, but yeah.
Yeah, you know, Hannah can get that motorcycle she always dreamed of, that moped. Well, she hits the thing. So before we go to we'll close out for the break here. So my first personal favorite games, I have a handful I always go back to. One of them is, if anyone's curious, my favorite Zelda is actually A Link to the Past, the Super Nintendo. It's timeless. It's literally perfect in terms of Zeldas. It's literally perfect. There's the dungeons are exciting, the content's difficult, the harder you progress into it, the exploration's great. Like that's my favorite Zelda. I'm also one of the biggest fans. Like The Last of Us is a huge deal to me. I think that's probably one of my favorite games of all time. In terms of storytelling, I don't think any game has come close in terms of storytelling and attachment to characters like The Last of Us has.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, it's one of those games where like it's probably better written than most movies.
Which we'll touch on a little bit when we get to this TV show discussion that they're working on. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's I don't know what it is that Naughty Dog. I don't know what they drink at Naughty Dog, but they write some of the best stories in terms of gaming that is unmatched by almost any movie studio. And
This is true.
on top of that, so Last of Us, I'm a big fan of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time. It was in the arcade. It's also on Super Nintendo. It's your good old fashioned like side scrolling beat 'em up, and I'm super excited to play the Shredder's Revenge that just came out yesterday because it's a throwback. So that's up there. I try to pick one from like every kind of era here. I'm also a big fan of Tony Hawk. I love Tony Hawk Pro Skater. That was another one that hit me when I was young. Yeah, so.
Did you ever play the skate games?
I did. I love the skate games too, but there's just some vibe about Tony Hawk. And I think what gets me about Tony Hawk over skate control wise is far superior. But I think what gets me about Tony Hawk over skate is the soundtrack. The soundtracks are what make Tony Hawk. The soundtracks to Tony Hawk almost make skateboarding what skateboarding is. Like most people probably here don't skateboard, or if you do, you'll know what I'm talking about. But the music that is in those Tony Hawk soundtracks, the original ones, that's what skaters listened to in the 90s. So like it is a perfect reflection of the era in terms of music and culture and all of that. So Tony Hawk, he actually really did something special at the time. And there's a reason he's as wealthy as he is.
Yeah.
Yep.
For me, the appeal was how much can I hurt my skater? How much physical pain can
the skate has the Hall of Meat.
Oh yeah.
Which is actually a Thrasher magazine, like it was a thing. I don't know if it still is, but Thrasher magazine had the Hall of Meat where it would show the nastiest spills. Me and Hannah were gonna film a video where it was Hannah reacting to skateboard accidents, and it will happen. It just hasn't happened yet.
I'm just gonna like be.
She's gonna cry. But those are my favorite games: Link to the Past, The Last of Us, Tony Hawk, and Turtles in Time. Those are my favorites. I think about them all the time, and I'm super excited to play them again. I do The Last of Us like every year almost. So,
which we'll definitely talk about.
Which we'll definitely talk about because that was one of the biggest news things to come out. Okay, we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a break. This is at that point where we'll take a break. So the stream will stay live. The cameras will stay live unless, one of the panel members has to go, step away. They'll turn the camera off, but we're going to go into a break mode here. And we will come back and continue the conversation. During the break mode, we'll go ahead and we'll acknowledge some of their chat. There's a lot of people here today. Everyone has pulled together to come to this
Which we are very
show.
grateful for.
We are grateful for you. We appreciate you. We're very passionate about this project, so we're glad you're here listening to us and enjoying it. So what's going to happen right now? I'm going to go ahead and put us in a break. So you've been listening to Good Friends, Good Games. See how I'm being very, very careful because this is now 2 shows that we do.
Yeah.
It'll happen. I'll say the wrong one at some point. But yes, you've been listening to Good Friends, Good Games. The breaks will go on for about 5 to 10 minutes. Maybe a little bit more like the 5-minute mark. It's enough to just kind of stretch and get coffee and stuff or refuel.
Shove some food.
So we're going to go ahead and go to a break. You've been listening to Good Friends, Good Games, and we will be back shortly. Welcome back to Good Friends, Good Games. We're coming back off our break here. So you've all got an introduction to the panel here. We've all met our new friends. We welcome you. Those of you that are in the chat and are listening to us here on Twitch, welcome. We appreciate you. If you're listening to us on Apple, Spotify, whatever your podcast listening of choice is, we appreciate you. Thank you so much. Hello. So it was a big week. We are in that E3 season, but we do not have an E3 this year.
No more.
So this used to be every video game Twitch streamer, blah, 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 content creator's favorite time of the year because this is when we find out about all the new games. So if you'll pardon me, I actually have to bring up the write-up for this one because there was a lot.
There was a lot.
So let me go ahead and pull it up here.
I'm pulling it up too.
Yeah, so everyone take a second. We'll go ahead and pull up we are organized people. We have a Google Doc. All right. So now granted, this won't contain every little piece of information that popped up, but so Summer Games Fest. So we're kind of get started here. The thing kicked off with the Sony, what do they call it? Sony State of Play. Mm-hmm. So we'll kind of go around and we'll pick out some of the stuff here that's obviously the biggest news that came out of the Sony State of Play at first. This also, and a lot of this content will overlap with the other people that did presentations during the week. But the biggest one to start off was the Resident Evil 4 remake. Someone in this panel had to have played Resident Evil 4.
Never played it.
I've played a little bit of it, and honestly, I'm very excited for it because I love the direction of where the new Resident Evil games are going.
This is one of those things because I'm in that mode because they did it's called the RE engine. For those that don't know, it's built on called the RE engine. That's what they're using to build these remakes. Resident Evil 2 was the first one to do the first remake to have it. Resident Evil 2, when that year that game came out, that remake, that was my game of the year. I think that is one of the best remakes I think has ever been made, is that Resident Evil 2 remake. If you haven't played it yet, you can get it pretty cheap on Steam and stuff right now, or Green Man Gaming, whatever avenue you use to purchase your games on PC. I don't know about the PlayStation Store or whatnot. I'm assuming there might be a sale there. Yeah, but play Resident Evil 2. It's amazing.
Yeah, I love the Resident Evil 2 remake. Like it encapsulated what was really good in the original, but like also making it feel modern because like I never played the original RE2, but I really enjoyed this, and it was a great mix of like classic RE that I never got to experience, and then obviously like keeping it modern where it looks really great, and it was a lot of fun. Now, mind you, though, I hear that there was some issues with RE3 with it being really, really short.
It's very, very short. I think it's probably half the time that the Resident Evil 2 one was. I think it was about 8 hours, maybe 9, if I had clocked in there. Okay. I know I did it because my streams used to be about 3 hours long, and I think I did it in 2 streams. 2 or 2.5 streams, I think I did it in. So it's pretty short. Now, that kind of scares me for the Resident Evil 4 thing. But then again, Resident Evil 4 is, to a lot of people, the golden child of Resident Evil. Like, it's the best one. So there's a lot of hope that they don't mess this one up, but I don't think they will. It's actually really hard to, because it's so revered. Like, you'd have to screw up something really, really bad to mess this up.
Yeah, because like Resident Evil 4 was at that time where it was transitioning from the classic RE games where it was more focused on survival horror, where RE4 and then after RE4, like if you look at RE5 and RE6, those are more action oriented with like horror elements.
Right, they're more action based, like shooters, type of thing. And then
for all
like,
your boulder punching needs.
Yeah, and I've only touched 4 for a little bit. Like I kind of went through the beginning, and then, I have a problem with the tank controls. Once you go to the RE engine controls, like the remake controls, it's very hard to go back to those tank controls. Like it's very, very hard. So I hope, I couldn't get through it, but I'm actually hopeful for it. I love the remakes. Resident Evil 7 and then Resident Evil 8 are also some of the best in the series. I think 7 more so.
Mm-hmm.
7 is just an amazing game, and I think kind of like captures what Resident Evil actually is. Whereas 8 started good, and then it kind of went into this weird culty tangent of almost circusy. It felt circusy to me. The guy you buy your items off of and stuff, he looks like a fat guy at a circus, and I'm just like, but 7 is just such a good game.
8 was like pretty much like the first half of the game was practically perfect, like the part with Lady Dimitrescu, and then what was it, not Moreau, it was the mansion part where like that was probably like some of the biggest scares I've had in such a long time.
Are you talking about the one where you went into? Are you talking about where you go into like the side house or whatever it was, or that weird floor, and then you get chased by that? Sorry, spoiler alert.
Talking about the blobby thing that I keep saying.
Yeah,
I will not play that game because of that reason. Because I would just like
my legs went numb on stream.
It was good, and then it turned into this weird like. Almost like again, it turns into this weird.
Wait, you played it on streams then?
Yeah,
I need
did.
to go find clips.
There's clips. There's clips of you being terrified.
What about So now that I've seen all these amazing Resident Evil remakes, I want to see the original like Resident Evil 1 done in the remake engine. Like, I think it needs to be done. Why they haven't done it, I don't know. So everyone just went like awkward silence.
I was gonna say I'm not a huge fan of the Resident Evil games. So.
I thought something happened. Like it was like you know how like the silence is long enough to where you're like.
I never played the original, but sure, bring it on.
The original's hard.
In chat.
Yeah, the original one's hard. There are apparently clips of Zenith playing Resident Evil 8.
That's what I was
Lesh is pretty quiet in the corner. Lesh, any opinions on Resident Evil? Or
I just don't like. I never really liked the games because I'm not really. I get easily spooked.
Is it the scare factors that kind of turn you off from it, like right off the
jump
bat?
Scare? Yeah, because that game, at least the games that when I've watched people play, are very jump scary, and I don't do well with jump scares. So I just don't even bother with it.
I've only ever played horror games for incentives, like for
Same.
St. Jude. Besides that, you won't see me being like, "Well, hey, everybody."
Me and Zenith are just laughing.
I remember the day Hannah played Visage on the stream. That was a fun time.
There are clips of that.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't know if I'm desensitized or what, but like I think when when Resident Evil 8 came out, I played the game with the lights off and had the headset on. So like I headsetted it with the lights off, and I'm just like,
you just got balls of steel. That's
I'm like, let's
all
go.
To each their own.
Let's go.
I think what really got me into the Resident Evil games, because I arrived very late, is like finding all the secret items and then like later on crafting, because like one of my favorite things about RE7 was just going around trying to like look high and low for all the like little treasures, and it was such a fun time.
I'm looking forward to it. Now they're doing the Resident Evil on top of this news, they're doing the Resident Evil VR. So like I think it's 8 that's getting a VR version, and I think 7, if I remember the presentation correctly.
That will be an incentive.
Do any of you guys have the VR? Because like that was something I wanted to bring up. I'm like, is VR like? I know it's accessible, like anyone could buy it one, but I'm like, I feel like the good majority of people don't have it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
what is money?
I have the Quest 2. And that, I think, that was a gift from Tom, but I still think it's one of the more affordable headsets that is still pretty good. You can play, you don't even need like a really high-end computer to play games on it. But if you do have the high-end computer, you could wirelessly play some Steam VR games on it. So
Which one is
it's
it?
really nice. The Quest 2.
Oh,
Now
okay.
it's or Meta Quest 2.
Whichever
the
meta
Oculus.
phase, whichever one it is now. But so PS2 or PSVR 2 is coming, which is supposed to work with the PS5 and all that kind of stuff. So I mean, if you wanted to, it's kind of pricey for my taste. Like those virtual headsets, they're kind of pricey. But
Yeah.
it's one of those things too where I know somebody's gonna do it, but some twisted, messed up person is gonna do some kinky, weird stuff in Resident Evil 8 with the mommy milker lady,
Mommy milk.
and it's gonna show up on all those sites.
There's room for those boobs to grow, Eric.
I was gonna say, what are you gonna do? Water them? But I was like, that just sends us down the same rabbit hole of perversion. Like that just someone just like they're like, or the ladies got quiet. They're like, but like, someone's gonna do some weird nonsense. I know it's coming.
Oh, for sure.
Oh yeah.
I was like, oh my god. I thought people to me were weird about it when the regular game came out.
Oh yeah, where it was just like the trending. I wasn't even on social media at that time, and I still knew how much it was blowing up.
I was like, but I don't know. Yeah, Rule 34. Someone said in the chat here. Rule 34.
I picked a good time to choke on my coffee.
Yeah, so mommy milker lady's gonna get some weird content coming. I know it. Someone's gonna do it. So that's Capcom's problem, not mine. Let them deal with it. Do we have any fighting game fans in here? Does anyone here play fighting games? Anyone touch Street Fighter 6?
No, because I'm like a button masher, so it's not like I get like full enjoyment out of it because I'm just like spamming X and this and R and L and P.
Zenith's
and
dying. Help him.
Trying not to.
He's dying. Okay, so there's a lot of info out there about Street Fighter 6. We won't dwell on it too much because no one here in the panel is like a huge fan. Like I haven't really gone straight down a Street Fighter rabbit hole since like Street Fighter 2 or Street Fighter 4, which was decades and decades ago. So I don't even know. I played Street Fighter before it was an esports thing.
Yeah, that was more Mortal Kombat back in the day.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
My dad. So I'll tell you a funny story about Mortal Kombat 1. So for those that are here old enough here to remember when Mortal Kombat 1 came out, like people freaked out. It was on the news, like the violent video game that's desensitizing and like ruining your kid's mind and all that kind of stuff in the arcades, blah, blah, blah. And it was all about Mortal Kombat. You rip this guy's head off and da 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 da. And then, news, how news does it. News outlets, and they get parent like, yeah, don't take your kid. Yeah. So my mom comes in and she starts wagging her finger like, I don't want you playing this game, da 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 da, right? Let's just say I had a very good father. My dad was one of those ones where my dad would be honest and he'd be like, this is wrong and this is fake and this isn't real, right? And I'm like, yeah, no, I get it. That'd be crazy to think I'm going to go around and rip people's heads off. And I'd be like, okay, cool. So my dad would pick me up from school once or twice a week. And out of those 1 or 2 days a week, one day out of the week, we would go to a 7-Eleven and he would get like a Slurpee. And back then they had this thing called the Auto Trader, which was like a magazine, like a newspaper you would buy, and you could buy old cars and car parts and stuff. And that's what my dad would do to relax. He'd get a Slurpee or a big gulp or whatever, and he'd read Auto Trader, right? In the parking lot of a 7-Eleven. And would pick me up from school and he was like, okay, here you go. And he found a 7-Eleven that had the Mortal Kombat machine and he gave me a roll of quarters. So he totally went against my mother's wishes. Lesh is laughing in the corner. So like he'd be like, have at it. Because actually my dad thought it was one of the coolest concepts. And it's not because, you're ripping people's heads off and stuff, but it was one of those things where it was like, he liked the fact of the way they made the game. Like they would film the actors in still shots and all this kind of stuff and then make it into a video. He thought that was intriguing and incredible to him. So he wanted to see it. And then like, he'd be like, dang, you ripped that guy's head off and all kinds of like weird stuff. So my dad totally went against my mom's wishes and was like, it's dumb. I'm not going to keep you from playing this game, because his philosophy as a parent was like, if I tell you no and keep it that way, you're just going to find out a way to do it without me knowing.
Right.
So I'd rather you.
It's better that they regulate it.
Yeah. And that's,
I didn't teach you right from wrong. That's all.
Yeah, he taught me right from wrong, like he taught me all this stuff. We had this conversation on the other show where it was like, hey, I'm not going to go do this stuff that's happening in the world because I know it's wrong. Violent music and video games and all that kind of stuff doesn't affect me the way mentally that they're trying to say it affects these kids that do this stuff. But, my dad was just like, hey, it's wrong, right? And I'd be like, Dad, I want this CD. He'd be like, what do they say in it? I was like, oh, they talk about drugs and da-da-da-da-da-da. He's like, well, that's wrong. So go ahead. Here's $10, but like, I was a rebellious kid growing up, but like, I never got in any trouble with the law or anything like that, so.
I was a good kid.
Yeah. Good parenting actually proves that you can raise good children by being a good parent,
You know, you might find this funny. I was a really good kid. I was a very good kid until I got suspended for flipping a desk because someone ripped a picture of a Pokemon that I had. I couldn't afford Pokemon cards at the time, but I had a picture of a Pokemon, and someone ripped it in half, and I flipped a desk.
Whoa!
People must have been like, "Wow, who is this kid?" Like,
yeah,
oh my
exactly.
God.
And I got suspended literally a week later because I don't know. We had a
Did you
substitute
hurt the
teacher that
kid?
entire
Like, did the
week.
kid get hurt?
No,
from
I
it?
didn't hurt anyone. The second time I kind of hurt him, but that's because like this kid was like bullying my friends. Long story.
I didn't
Sounds
hurt
like the kid
anybody,
deserved
but
it.
the second time we got hurt.
Yeah.
My heart just breaks that someone would rip your Pokemon picture.
I
Like, that makes
know.
me so sad
That's
for
so
you.
messed
Like, I'm
up.
just
It was
like,
a picture of Squirtle. You don't do that
not
to my.
Squirtle.
It's
Yeah,
probably because it
exactly.
was a Squirtle. Had it been a Charizard or whatever, it probably would have lived to see the light of day.
It's okay. Dustin and I have had this argument, like, because like Squirtle's like my least favorite out of the three, and he thinks I'm crazy, and like we've gotten into arguments.
He has
about it.
Squirtle has a strong fandom. I'm more of an Eevee person. I think Eevee's the cutest little thing ever. So that's my Pokemon of choice. That brings out the
I don't know
sensitive
much about
side.
Pokemon. I don't know much about Pokemon, but I always go by who's cutest. So
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
It tugs at my big softy heartstrings, the cute little Eevee.
yeah,
But okay, so we'll kind of bypass the Street Fighter talk here, because honestly, I'm not well versed enough in it to really commentate on it. So we'll kind of. But the one thing someone here's probably got excitement for is this cat game that they showed called Stray, where you play as a stray cat, and I think you do magical things with the cat, or
See, it looks.
Okay, I knew Hannah saw this.
So, I understand the hype behind it, but I don't know if it's enough for me to like go out and get it. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I need to know a little bit more. Like, I think the premise is great. Like, I think a lot of people are like, yeah, cats. Like, I'm like that way too. Like, yeah, cat, let's go. But like, I don't know if it's enough for me to be like, all right, I'm gonna go buy this game. Like,
This is going to come down to the price point they charge for this game. If this is a full
that's what I mean.
$70, oh, it's only 30. Someone in the
oh,
chat.
it's only 30. Oh, okay. I could probably, but not for like 59 or 69. I don't think I would.
I'm kind of like in the same boat where I want to see more of it first before I'm thinking, all right, here you go, $30.
Why do I picture Zenith doing cat randomizer? What is this game called? Stray. Why do I feel
Stray.
like Zenith's going to do stray randomizer?
Stray
streams?
randomizers.
Someone
just
said
like
in the
the next time
chat.
I boot it
The chat says, "I think the game is a meme."
Yeah, I'll play a randomizer of it if I get to be like a goose.
It looks really pretty. Like when you
It
look at,
actually
like, the
looks very beautiful.
screenshots. It's a beautiful game, but like I think for me, like the one thing I would wonder, when would it become like monotonous? You know what I mean? Like after like the initial appeal of playing it and you're like, yeah, I'm a cat, and like you get to jump around and meow. After that kind of like settles in a bit, like after a couple hours, does it, like I would hope it would hold my attention a little bit more. Like I don't know. These are just the things I think of, that issues you could run into. But who knows? I'm gonna wait, but I probably won't get it on release until like I find out what, like kind of the general consensus is.
Someone in the chat brought up a good point of, I can't wait for the mods that people will put their own cats in. That
Design your own cat.
Design your own cat. You ever anyone here watch that movie Homeward Bound? Remember that old Disney Homeward Bound movie?
Yep.
Yes.
I loved it.
The
Yeah, I
little
love
that
those
big
movies.
old fluffy cat that's in that movie. I forget what
her
it
name
is.
again.
I forget the name of the cat or the type of the cat it is, but I've always wanted one of those cats. If I was ever going to own it, I'm not a cat person really by any means, but I love that fluffy cat, and I feel like I would own a fluffy cat like that. So if I played this game and I modded
Sassy.
it,
Yeah,
Her name
Sassy.
was Sassy.
She's
That's
a
Sassy.
Siamese.
is it Siamese? Maybe it's the big fluffy one.
I don't know what type of cat she is, but
Yeah, she was Siamese.
I will.
Okay.
I will. If I ever bought a cat, it would be a big fluffy one like that. A Himalayan. Maybe it's
Is
a
it? Let me
Himalayan.
see.
Beautiful
oh yeah,
cat.
it's Himalayan cat. Yep.
So I'm gonna buy this stray game, this cat game, and I'll mod in the Homeward Bound
I'm gonna
cat.
read it. What kind of cat was Sassy?
And then there's
Oh,
gonna be a
okay,
big
Himalayan.
old. There's
Yeah.
gonna be a big old long like Google search like. You know how when you do Google searches, like you look up one question, then there's like that section where it has a bunch of different similar questions. Was
Yeah.
Sassy really a Himalayan? That kind of stuff. It just goes down this rabbit hole of cats. But yeah, I'm in the same boat where it's like this is definitely not one of those things where I would pay full price for it and like get nose deep into this thing. But I feel like it's
Mhm.
gonna be one of those ones. I feel like my girlfriend's gonna want to play this.
I think it seems like a good like casual game, like in the sense of like you just want something to play, but you don't want to like. I mean, I don't know how deep the story's gonna go and everything like that,
Right.
but I'd imagine it's like a cozy game, something you want to enjoy.
You get to be a
With
cat.
Yeah, just be a cat. Like, just
What if
chill
it's
out, you
what
know?
if it takes this wild turn and it's just like the Resident Evil of cat games? You
I'm
just-
sure we'll find out real soon in the beginning when people
I
start
know.
playing it.
It just
Don't
like
play
turns
it.
into like some Stephen King-esque like horror
People's-
movie game of cats. You just like rip
What was
out.
that one game that started off really innocent in the beginning, and then like it's like one of those anime games, and then it just
Doki Doki.
turns Doki Doki. There we go.
Doki Doki was one of my favorite games that I played that year. That game was
Which is
wild.
interesting. I was not a big fan of it.
You
But
were me and Hannah the only ones that played that in here?
I did not play Doki Doki.
I liked it until I had to mod for a friend of mine who had like 1,000 people in chat, and that was the only mod, and they were trying to spoil the story for him.
Oh,
Ugh.
jeez.
Oh no.
I won't.
Yeah.
I won't do any discussion of that game because I really do think it's one of those games you should play. I think it's still free on Steam unless they migrated it all over to the collector's edition or whatever they're doing for it now, definitive collection or whatever. Stray turns into Pet Cemetery. Someone mentions it. Yes, I mentioned it. Yeah, it's going to turn into Pet Cemetery. I hope it happens. I will buy it. As soon as I find out in the reviews that it turns into some freaky horror game, I will buy it. I will be all over it. What was next here? Okay. Final Fantasy 16.
Woo.
Now, Hannah,
what?
keep in mind, this is not Final Fantasy 14.
I-
There's no clubs in this
know.
one.
I know, but I like. So I haven't played all the Final Fantasies, but like I've played 10, 12, 13. Like I played a bunch, so I'm
I'm just-
actually
I
really
kid.
excited for another.
Hannah really is a Final Fantasy nerd. She really
So-
is.
It looks
Now, if they
really
do have a
good.
clubbing scene, though, like I'm all for it. Like that's just the added.
Like I
That's
think
about
like
it.
this is more closer to what like the single player or like Final Fantasy 15 is now. I just really hope they don't make the same mistakes of 15 because
Is 15 the
enjoyed-
one with the is 15 the one with the like TikTok looking Backstreet Boys in the car?
it's
Yeah.
my chemical romance out on a car trip. That's all.
Really?
Did you like 15 Zen? I liked it. I feel like I run into it's very like 50-50. Like some
I
people
liked
hated it,
it.
some people liked it. Like
Like I liked it the first like half of it, then the other half of it I was like, no, I actually hate this.
Do they start bromancing and stuff in it? Like
I mean, like anime protagonist, just like kind of style, and well, that wasn't really just the thing. It was just the pacing of it,
the pacing
and the
was
fact that
slow.
like the game became it was like, all right, these players are all separated, but you can figure out what happens if you purchase this DLC for $20.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's like no,
I did like the game. I enjoyed it, but to be quite honest with you, if you were to ask me what happened in that game, I can't tell you now.
Mhm.
Like I literally cannot tell you like what the plot was, even though I liked it. But that's how much of an
Yeah.
impact it made. It doesn't make this huge, like, lasting impact like Final Fantasy X has for me, or like, you know.
Yeah.
I looked at it
for-
and I was like, they're in a car. Where's the chocobo?
You
Like-
see, to summarize it, you're like, what the hell happened? And then you just realized on the box created by Nomura, I was like, oh, the Kingdom Hearts guy.
Oh, that explains everything.
Yeah, exactly. See?
Oh, you know how you look at it and you're like, oh, that makes sense.
It makes sense that it doesn't make sense.
Are you a Final Fantasy person, Les?
Nope.
No?
The only Final Fantasy game I ever played was the MMO 14.
Really?
And
Did
that's
you ever
it.
play like Kingdom Hearts or anything like that? Because you're a
I
Disney
only
person.
watched.
So.
Yeah, I'm a Disney person, but I didn't have the consoles at the time when it came out, so I just only watched people play it on Twitch.
Hmm.
Never got to play it until I got a Switch, and then I get to play it. But even then, like, I wasn't a huge fan because I'm terrible at like those type of games with like. I don't want to consider it a platformer, but when you have to do like a whole bunch of like jumping around and the camera just doesn't really work with me, I just don't do well with those.
It's okay because Kingdom Hearts is a terrible game. So
I enjoyed watching someone play
Listen here. It's got its flaws, okay? And it's a little complicated. And no, I don't think I would love it if this was my first time playing it, but because I played it as a kid, I love it.
I know I do this every time we do a new podcast or a new show, but like we talk about my hatred for Kingdom Hearts. I'll repeat
That's how
it.
Dustin and I met. We met in Eric's chat. That's my husband. For anyone listening, Dustin's my husband. We met in Eric's chat in May of 2017 because he was playing Kingdom Hearts and he was raging during the Tarzan level. And Eric's like, I'm going to quit this. And Dustin's like, no, Kingdom Hearts is the best thing ever. And then
Let me tell you.
that's how I met Dustin.
Let me tell you. Damn it, let me tell you. The Tarzan music in Kingdom Hearts was literally going to be my 13th reason. Like, I was like, oh my God, I can't do this anymore. And then finally the level was over. So I'm going to go ahead and I will get my opinions because there's a lot of new people listening to this show versus the other show. I'll get my opinions out right now. Kingdom Hearts is, I think, one of the most brilliant ideas in terms of concept. There is no bigger wet dream for a weeb than the worlds of Disney and Squaresoft combining and creating this fantasy world. I get it. I'm totally like on board with you. You came to me with that idea on paper and I'd be like, yo, let's go. That sounds like brilliant. Okay.
Got a money-making machine like on our hands here.
Print the dollar. You know what? We'll put it right up there with Baby Yoda on the shelf. Let's go. And I'm like, this is brilliant. Okay. But you play the game and I'm like, number one, the controls are awful. And I'm sure they've improved that over time in the later games. Like I'm sure it's been improved. But the concept of the first game, those controls are god awful. And
It
it's
aged
like
very poorly.
yeah, and Lesh, like she said, it's like a lot of platforming. You got to jump, you got to duck, you got to dive, you got to roll, do a barrel roll, like all of that stuff. And that works all in theory when the controls are good, but the controls are not good. So that makes it more difficult. The music is just mind numbing. Like it's literally droned on like lobotomy mind numbing. And then the story itself turns into this big old convoluted thing and they don't explain any of it. I don't know who the Heartless are. I don't know who the Heartless are. I don't know what they want with me. I don't know what they want with the world. I don't know what they want with Kiara or whatever her name is. And I don't know why all the Disney villains in the world are combining to just make this happen. Like I don't know why any of this is going on.
Fantastic hair, Eric. They have fantastic hair.
He's
Doesn't
got
that sell
fantastic
you
hair.
one?
No, it's his big shoes. Because I just laugh at his big shoes when he stomps across the floor. And then when he jumps, his feet are literally like parachutes because by physics, his size of his feet literally slow down his drop. And I'm just like, I can't do this anymore. And for some strange, odd reason, this is just like Zenith said, where he likes to play these games where it's just like a repeated kick in the genitals. And I'm just like, why am I still playing this game? Because God, I need to beat it. Because I'm sitting here like I've tortured myself enough. I'm just going to beat it.
Well, you know what they say about big feet, right, Eric?
Well, I don't know if that's the same story anymore because they did the Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer or whatever, and now his feet are normal size. So I don't know what that says. Did it all shrink? You know, so that's
The-
my
the problem
opinion.
Swam in
Of,
some very he swam in some very cold pools. Let's put it that way.
or took a crap ton of steroids that didn't work.
The problem is, Kingdom Hearts has an issue when you look on YouTube to find a video that explains the story of Kingdom Hearts, and it's an hour long. Like, even someone that has played, I've played not every single game, because then they branch off into like these different ones that I don't care about. But like, we're talking about the main ones, like 1, 2, 3, and like maybe Birth by Sleep and stuff like that. If you have to go and look up a story, like a YouTube video explaining all of it, doesn't make sense. Even me playing it, I don't understand it. Like, it's getting to a point where I'm kind of losing my enjoyment of it, and like kind of like that dedication I had to the game, just because I'm like, I can't keep up.
That's
like,
another,
I don't know how 10-year-old Hannah kept
That's
up
another
with it.
problem I have, and this is not just Kingdom Hearts, but this is other games in general that have like a series or chronology or whatever. I don't like the fact that I have to go play some weird random mobile game on Apple Plus or whatever to get story plot. Like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
You know,
Ooh,
like give me,
this.
huh?
My favorite game, because I have the Kingdom Hearts The Story So Far Collection Edition. Which
Right.
is basically every single game. My favorite game from this series is the one game. It's 358 over 2 days. The game that actually has zero gameplay.
And the titles. Don't even get me started on the titles. Kingdom Hearts 2.5 version 6.725 director's cut. And I'm like, okay, what part of the story is this? And then you play the game, and like Zenith said, you find out it's some stupid DDR type dancing game that supposedly tells the story. It's some
This is going to be
convoluted form.
excellent content. I think we all need to vote if we're going to have Eric do like a full Kingdom Hearts playthrough and just like sit and watch him.
It was one of
'Cause
my
I'm for
it's one of my St. Jude incentives one year.
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
I was gonna play through the whole thing.
Eric, we should do like a split screen speed run of Kingdom Hearts and see who
How can you
beats
speed
it.
run that game?
I don't know. Just try and be faster than the other person that's probably sucking at it.
I mean,
With your big shoes.
if the speed run is to see how fast I can run into the wall and hope it kills me, then maybe I'm on board. But I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
we'll figure it out. But that's okay. So now that I've got that out of the way, that's my opinion of
Yeah,
Kingdom
Seppuku
Hearts.
percent.
Let's go talk about good games now. Okay. So, let's go talk about good games now. So anyway, this is the biggest one to come out. And if you guys didn't know, but this was already in the rumor mills a long time ago. The Last of Us remake, it is now Last of Us Part 1. I think with the exception of Hannah, the three of us have played it, right?
I've played it.
Okay.
I
I've
just
only
have
watched.
like
Okay.
I have
so
like
Les only watched.
not the
Later.
common. I have the opinion that's like not as common. I feel because like it's very beloved, and I just kind of like it. Like I'm like it's good.
Okay.
like,
I want to start
yeah.
with this then, because this
Mhm.
is, like I said, this is my favorite game, one of my favorite games. Yes, there is a remake for Last of Us Part 1. You can find the trailer on YouTube at the Sony channel and the Naughty Dog channel, and wherever you consume your content. So I want to kind of get, what doesn't jive with you that keeps you from making this the game you?
I think my problem is, and I might have said this in like on our other show. I think what it was so overhyped for me, like to the point where like it was just everyone's like, you have to play this. This is the best thing in the entire world. Like, so like my expectations were like up here. Like, and I feel like if I didn't have the hype behind it, I probably would have enjoyed it more. But I think I was just expecting something that was going to completely blow me out of the water. Like, and I just didn't feel that way. Like, I liked it.
Wait, how far
And
did you
also-
get?
I finished the whole game. But the other thing too that I
Okay.
will say
Winding my
is
head back.
that it was a little like scary for me.
Okay.
And so maybe like my pacing of it, like now that I think about it, it wasn't something I sat and like tried to finish. Like I was playing it in like little spurts because like I hate like the jump scares. Not that the game is full of them, but like depending on your play style or if you're not paying attention, like I just didn't I'm not someone that's gonna like go out of my way to like play something that makes me a little nervous, you know what I mean? And so as far as like the whole zombie thing and like being chased or like, so I think that's what it was. I think that like I'm gonna give this one a shot, like maybe I'll feel different now that it's been several years because I haven't played it since like I first got it back on the PlayStation 3. Like I first played it back then.
This is part of the criticism of the whole thing too, where it's like this game's only a decade old. And it's getting a full-on remaster remake. So before we kind of get into the discussion of this, the concept of the remake that's coming this year is that they're remaking the game from the ground up. This is supposed to be on the same level of the Final Fantasy VII remake. Things are remodeled. A lot of the audio is being reused, but they've improved the lip reading and all that kind of stuff. Like a lot of this, but they're also taking concepts from the second Last of Us Part 2, the combat concepts and stuff, and they are integrating it into this one. So a lot of the stuff that was missing combat-wise in the second one, I think the slides was one of them, like sliding across the floor or whatever, I think was not in the first one. That stuff's getting integrated into this one. It's supposed to be the definitive version of the game. So that being said, and that covers what the chat's asking about it. So the idea here is, I'm curious, is spoiler alert right now. Spoiler, spoiler, spoiler. If you have not played The Last of Us, go ahead and hit mute. Or if you're listening to us, you know, outside of the live stream, go ahead and fast forward about 20, 30 seconds here. 3, 2, and 1. I'm very curious how Hannah could go through this thing and the start of this game and not just break down when the daughter dies.
Oh, I broke down.
Okay, good. Because I was
did, yeah. I don't really have any kind of crazy criticisms for the game. I didn't dislike it. I thought it was a beautiful game. It's stunning, and I can see the hype behind it. But it wasn't a game that I necessarily was like, I can add it to my top 10. You know? Like, I played it once, and, like, there are moments that stuck with me. Like, I went through the emotions of, like, crying and going through it, but it just, for whatever reason, was not something that, you know, is, like, my favorite game.
I think it's one of the, okay, so maybe it's just me, because it's one of those things for me is like the story, because that's the first time I remember in any video game that hits you that hard right off the bat.
Yeah.
Like you go into this moment, because a moment like that in a video game happens way later. This is how the game starts.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, well, what the hell? Like, what do I even do? You know, like it leaves you thinking. And the second game did this too. When that pivotal moment happens, the second game does the same thing. And the beauty, I think, of these games is that it starts the game on a sour note. And, you know, it's not like it's not like any other traditional type of like action game where it's like, hey, I got to save the world, or I got to save whatever, or I got to do this. It's survival. It's like literally surviving and trying to move on with life. That's why I think the people at Naughty Dog tell some of the best stories that very few movie studios can even rival. Because like you're starting this game and it's just survival, like of life. Like, how do I keep going? My daughter's dead. Any good parent would be like, my daughter's dead. What do I even do to keep living? You know, and that's where I'm kind of like, well, okay. But I mean, combat stuff aside, like controls and stuff, yes, I can see those criticisms, but I just think as an overall cohesive story of game, I think it's just one of those games that's just untouchable in terms of story.
I think it's set a precedent in storytelling, and it's fabulous writing. It is, but what's interesting is like Naughty Dog is known for that, right? Like their amazing writing.
Yeah.
And people might think I'm crazy, and it's okay if you can think I'm crazy. I like, for example, Uncharted 4, one of my favorite games ever. I enjoyed Uncharted 4 more than I did The Last of Us, and it has nothing to do with like they're both like one's better than the other. It's just for me, like I just grew more attached to like Nathan Drake, you know, and like those group of characters more so than
chiseled jaw and the drastically good looks.
You know, that
even Zenith was like,
yeah. Hey, I enjoy the Uncharted games, but not for that reason.
Yes. Also, I think Tom Holland was the wrong pick for Nathan Drake. I'll just say that right now.
I never saw. I never.
It should have been Mark Wahlberg.
Anyway.
Am I the only one that thinks it should have been Mark Wahlberg? That should have been Nathan Drake.
You know,
like, doesn't that seem more fitting?
I kind of don't mind what they're doing with it, like trying to like have like a young Nathan Drake, because they might actually have it where like what if like the sequel is like Nathan Drake that is a lot more older, and hey, What if it's actually Nathan Fillion? What fans have been like clamoring
Okay.
for,
Yeah, they have.
playing as Nathan Drake, because he looks just like him, right?
He does.
It's there, yeah. I was just pissed that there was what's her name? Yelena. She
Oh,
was the
yeah.
blonde one, right?
I
Yeah, there's no
don't-
Yelena in the
yeah.
first movie, and I was like, well, isn't that like the main squeeze? Like, bruh.
Well, I don't think that at that point he should meet
Yeah.
Yelena. Or sorry,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Elena
he
at
meets
that
her
point,
much
so-
later down, like when he's older.
Mhm.
So
But
we'll
yeah,
see.
no, we'll see
But,
what
like,
happens.
I was
Also,
very attached to that story, and I've played Uncharted 4 like 4 times.
so before I go to the rest of the people in the panel, okay, so are you on board for this remake? Is this remake going to get your $70?
Absolutely.
It's gonna get
Want
my
it.
$70 for sure, because I want to retry it.
Okay,
like,
so
I want
Lesh
to be
is
like,
Lesh is shaking her head. So we're gonna come to Lesh after you, Hannah. I want to see what Lesh has to say, but go for it, Hannah.
no. But the interesting thing though is, I could understand the criticisms of people saying, why remake this after it's only been out? Like, I remember when it first came out. Like, it
Yep.
doesn't even seem that long ago. And so I made the point to my husband today. I said, this almost gives me like Bethesda Skyrim vibes. Like, how many times are we going to keep re-releasing Skyrim everywhere, like over and over again, remastered, because we know that it's going to sell, right? So I could understand like criticisms like in that area with it, because the game's been out not very long, but it's already had didn't it have like a PlayStation 3 remaster?
Yeah, the
a 4
PlayStation 4
remaster?
remaster. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this was actually brought up by other podcast programs. Is a lot of fears that people have is they don't want Naughty Dog to become the Uncharted like Last of Us studio.
Mm-hmm.
Because they also have other properties. They have Jack and Dexter. Is it Jack and Dexter or no? It's the other one. Bandicoot. Bandicoot.
Yeah.
They have like Crash Bandicoot and stuff. So like, they might even have Jack and Dexter. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. But like, they have other properties that they can use. I think they've just become this studio that's their focus is making these cinematic, like movie, like epic style games, and that's what they do now. So I can kind of see where there's a fear of milking that property and the other properties, because they are doing this online Last of Us multiplayer game
Mm-hmm.
that has nothing to do with the storyline of the games, the full line games, but it's like it's set place in the world. It takes place in the world of the zombie apocalypse, basically.
I would be very excited for that, because fighting against clickers with your friends would be great. Unless if it's, I don't know. I'm really hoping that it's more against like the actual like infected, as opposed to I mean, like, I wouldn't mind like the PvP parts, but I do want like some player versus enemy, which is have you ever played multiplayer for the original Last of Us?
Yes, and I didn't really like it, but I didn't really give it a fair chance, to be honest.
Because it's just you versus like the other survivors, and like that. I mean, like I'd much rather play the other FPS games for like just like player versus player.
I don't know
want
if
some
it's
PvE.
I don't know if it's supposed to be like this, but I think it's going to gear towards that Back 4 Blood or Left 4 Dead type of gameplay, where like you have a team and you're escaping the clickers. Maybe that makes more sense.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't even mind if it was like actual like PvP, but if you're like too loud in a firefight, all of a sudden you're alerting like all like the infected in the area, and you have to watch out for the clickers. Like if you're trying to be like, okay,
That's a good idea.
we're gonna get the drop on these guys, but then all of a sudden look behind you, there's a couple of clickers nearby, so like you have to be like wary of like two different like elements.
Let's go over to Lesh here, because Lesh shook her head and she's like, I'm still not sold. So I want to hear what like Lesh has to say
Yeah.
about this. I'm curious.
No, it's just that particular game is not my play style at all. It's one of those games. The story's great. Don't get me wrong. That's one of those games that I prefer to watch somebody play on Twitch, because I'm not a very patient person when it comes to games, and that game is literally about patience and timing and making sure you're not getting caught by these things. When I don't have the patience for that game whatsoever, and I'm pretty sure the remaster will not tickle my patience either. So I'll watch somebody play it.
What about the multiplayer thing that they're working on, though? Does that seem intriguing to you?
I don't know, not really. There's just so many other. Sorry to them, but there's just so many other multiplayer games that like take my interest over these ones. So
Are you into any of those ones like Left 4 Dead or anything like that, or Dead by
I
Daylight?
played it. I did play it. I did play them a little bit, but again, I got bored of it real quick, and I wouldn't want to buy this game and spend that price tag on it to play multiplayer and then be bored of it.
Fair
So
enough.
that's why I'm passing on it.
So
That's
I
just
have
me.
and if anyone has an answer to this, let me know. But like, because I don't know, because I tend to not utilize any of like the online plays and things like Red Dead Redemption or The Last of Us or I know
Grand
Mass
Theft
Effect.
Auto, all those.
Yeah,
stuff,
I don't. Yeah, when like a story based game usually has like that small like multiplayer, but like I don't think I've ever heard of one that's been so praised or loved. You know what I mean? In the sense of like, is it worth it? Like, is the online play worth it if it's going to be subpar? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I feel like sometimes they get neglected, or I've tried them and I'm just like, oh, this isn't going to hold my attention. Like, I'm just here to play like the main story game. So I don't even think like multiplayer, if it was even announced like in The Last of Us, it wouldn't be enough for me because like I don't see many games of that type do it effectively.
Right. I see what you're getting at. And I have some sentiment to that because like that's the biggest thing I have with MMOs is like when I play games, I like to play games and I like to have a purpose of why I'm playing it. That's not for a loose word, monetary gain. So like in terms of like a MMO where I'm collecting items and, you know, farming and all this kind of stuff and resources, like that doesn't intrigue me enough to keep interest. I prefer to play a game that has some kind of story that's keeping me motivated to keep going because I want to find out what happens next. You know, that's like the book reader and the TV show watcher in me. Like I want to find out what happens next. Whereas things like World of Warcrafts and, you know, Final Fantasy 14s and all that kind of stuff, and since Destiny, because I played a lot of Destiny, it's like, okay, I get it, the looting aspect of it, but there's so much stuff to loot and so many different ways I can loot things where I lose interest in it. It's like, this is too much. And like, what am I getting out of it? Some cool armor, you know, like, and then I kind of fall off and I go back to the games I like to play. And that's fair enough. And that's why, you know, that's why there's 4 different types of people here that play 4 different types of games. So we get 4 different types of opinions.
Yes.
And it's okay to have opinions. You notice how I didn't like yell at Hannah, be like, "What the hell's wrong with you?" Blah 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 blah. Like, no, I was
you were
like,
thinking it though,
it.
dude. You were thinking it. You're like, this girl. Crazy.
Wait till we get offline.
yeah, wait till we have the after meeting. Wait till we have, you know, employee reviews. And be like, how do you think you did, Hannah? I hate those reviews where they're like, you ever have like a job where they want you to review yourself?
I hate it. I put myself like super high and they're like, well.
Or the one that's like, what are the things that you think you can improve on? It's like,
my boss got mad. My boss got mad at me one year because I did that whole thing. I was like, I think I did fine. And he's like, well, why would I downplay myself? You know, like, but for real. Okay, so Hannah looks like she's going to jump in now that she has a PS5. Hannah looks like she's in on $70. Zenith's a definite in on $70 for this. This will be my triple dip. I will have triple dipped into this. Lesh is out. She's like, nope, not getting my money.
I didn't even get the new PlayStation. I wasn't excited for anything. So.
What is money?
What is money?
Well, let's go down the list. What about the Resident Evil 4? Not me. I'm not interested.
I will do
Eric,
Resident Evil
yes.
4. Yeah.
Zen?
Resident Evil 4, yep.
Lesh?
No, because she didn't like the horror games.
Street Fighter 6? No.
I'll probably, if it's cheap, I'll probably do it. Like, I'll probably do cheap. Because, like, I've kind of been in this mode where I was like, you know how you sit there and you think of, like, dumb ways you want to spend money?
Yeah.
And you don't need to? Like, you don't need to, but you, like, you're like, no, I want one of those arcade sticks, you know, like, for my PC.
God, they're expensive.
Yeah, I'm like, you know what? It'd be pretty badass if I had a fight stick. And I'm like, huh. I even thought about spending like $300 and going to Walmart and getting one of those like arcade things that they sell.
The arcade setup?
Yeah, and then gut it. I wanted to gut it and then like actually put like a main emulation station in it, you know, and like have all kinds of games in it. But like that's $300. Like I said, stupid ways to spend money. You're like, what if I had an arcade in my house? Do I need one? No. And like,
but do you want one?
Yeah. Or like the sit down Pac-Man thing. Like, you remember when you were a kid and they had the sit down Pac-Man thing and it was like the table, that double table?
They have that at like the barcade around here.
Yeah. I thought about buying one of those and putting it in my living room. I have a coffee table, babe. Look, it's right here. And it's a Pac-Man machine. You know, stupid ways to spend money. That's what I was thinking. I was like, I don't even know how much a fight stick is. I'm guessing several $100s. But I'm like, would be kind of badass if I had a fight stick. Just so I can play Turtles in Time in my damn house, you know? Like, whatever. But, you know, Street Fighter 6, I'll probably pick it up when it's like on sale for like $20, you know? Like those kind of deals when you're just bored.
What about Stray? I'm waiting. I can't make a decision on Stray yet.
I need to see more footage. I might even watch a Twitch stream or two. Yeah, you might find me on
That's
Twitch
what I was
again.
gonna say. I might watch a streamer for that.
Yeah.
It might be one of those games that, like, maybe I'll get the joy out of watching somebody else play it, and that's it. I don't have to buy it.
Someone in the chat just mentioned we're looking to get a Switch with a steering wheel and a pedal. It's just how to drive. Have you guys been to like a Best Buy, or I don't know if they have them at a Best Buy, but the racing car simulator things that they have?
Yes.
There's a guy on TikTok that has like a full setup. You might have seen him. He streams live sometimes. And he's like, you know, using his little, the manual, like the gear shift.
I want one.
I mean, I would love that, but like, I probably would never even play. Like, racing games are great, like, but they're not something that I'm like, I need to go get. It's just, it looks cool to me.
So here's what we can do. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna manifest this. We're gonna put this in the air right now. So if you're in the chat right now and you like what you see in the content you're watching and listening to, remember to follow this channel, all that stuff. Get us to that affiliate partner status so we can take that revenue, buy the racing simulator, get an office to put it in, and then we can have racing simulator time.
Oh, is that one of the gear shift things, Lesh?
Yeah, I have
Whoa!
one of the Logitech steering wheels.
We got one part. Okay, so we have part of it right now.
We need the racing seat.
Yep.
Someone give me their DX Racer.
Actually, husband has one downstairs.
Let's just
got teared apart.
I have a DX Racer. Would not recommend, but okay.
Let's just take Tom's like gaming chair and just manifest it into this racing simulator, just so we can
have
play.
Him be the one that steers. Moves the car around for me.
You know, on that note, we'll skip right into Microsoft Bethesda here. Yeah. I didn't see much of this conference thing. I poked in and out, but I know there's going to be some stuff here that's pretty interesting. The Redfall, which Redfall looks like some space. There's a lot of space out of the Microsoft camp. Did anyone notice that?
I was just about to say that. There was so much space stuff that I just felt like numb to it. I was like, oh, another space thing. Like, I was like, eh.
I feel like it was like the theme of the year. There were so many space games that came out last year.
Did you guys see that one? It was made by the makers of Dead Space.
The Callisto Protocol thing.
Yeah, that looks really good.
That's on my radar. I forgot to put it in the list here, but that Callisto Protocol looks like a Dead Space, like
I think
in
I watched
spirit.
It, but I didn't.
Yeah. It's spooky looking. Fair warning.
I probably won't play it.
It's spooky looking.
Something Sorry, that's definitely something you should play, Hannah.
For an incentive, maybe for the channel, I'll do it. But not by myself. I need someone to like be in call with me as I like.
I'll laugh the entire time.
You do realize that if I get in call with you to do this, I'm gonna create a soundboard of just like screaming and grunts and all this kind of stuff.
So, okay, I'm gonna have Lesh, because Lesh wouldn't do that to me. Lesh can be on call with me.
We'll both scream.
So the Callisto Protocol looks. I don't know about Redfall. That, like I said, Hannah just mentioned it too. They all started kind of like blending together. I'm like, okay, we're back in space. We're back in space again. We're back in space. So I'm gonna kind of like narrow this list here a little bit. I
was gonna say, should we talk about Starfield next? It's like
Starfield. Where we'll get to Starfield, but there. Since we just talked about racing simulators, there is the Forza like Motorsport. It's coming, the newest one. So I don't think, aside from me, I don't think there's very many racing fans in here. But Lesh has a shifter and a steering wheel, so
I do. But it's not for the Forza games. I actually play like the truck
Mario
simulator
Kart.
games. No, truck simulator.
The truck simulator
games
are so fun. It's fun, dude.
That's
Listen,
right. It's fun.
It is great. You take goods, and you're a very important part of American society, and you are shipping things. You got to drive your truck.
It's such a relaxing game.
It is.
I'm laughing because someone just invested $200 and some odd on a steering
No, this is a
wheel
hand-me-down. This is a hand-me-down. My brother is a huge racing fan, and he whenever he upgrades, I get his downgrades. So,
well,
I got it for free.
I like Need for Speed. Someone dropped Need for Speed in the chat. I like Need for Speed.
Oh, you guys want to buy followers? It's on chat. Buy viewers.
Hell
followers.
Yeah.
Let's go.
No. I don't have.
Seems legitimate.
We don't have the funds for that because those of you in the chat didn't listen to this, but we had a whole discussion about how like we financially can't afford things we want to do. So buying
I'm
followers isn't
stretching
one
to
of them.
payday that's on like Good
Yeah.
Thursday. I'm like, I'm almost there.
I like the ones too when every time we plug the podcast in like Instagram or whatever, there's always someone like, oh, follow on Megapod's account, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no.
No, thank you.
Yeah, you
Okay.
can't post on Instagram without that stuff happening.
Yeah. This is someone in the chat asked, is this the first stream? Yes, this is the first stream of this episode on this channel of this show. So this is the first for all of us for this particular show. Hannah and I have done several podcast episodes. You can do !TGPEH, and that will give you the link to Hannah and I's other show. And but for Good Friends, Good Games, this is the first episode. This is the first discussion. This is the first time you were seeing these people.
Oh my god, what was it again?
!TGPEH. The good people, Erik, Hannah.
There we go.
There you go. You can catch that on Apple and Spotify. We're plugging ourselves here. So that's awesome though. Like, oh, I play Truck Simulator with this expensive ass shifter.
You want to? My problem with the Truck Simulator is that the volume level is so ridiculous. I don't
It's
know.
a
if
truck.
just- No, like I just mean like the music. Like you launch the game, it's like, "Brah," like you know.
Oh yeah,
sounds
you
like
just
a
have to
truck.
set it up though.
You're like, bwomp, it sounds like a truck.
No.
I actually only ever play that game with the multiplayer mod to remove the traffic and the cops and stuff.
It's like the
That way it's
flight
more
simulator
relaxing.
thing, which they added patches for that. But
Ah.
Forza. So if those that don't know, there are two Forzas in the Forza lineup. There is the Forza Horizon, which is more of an arcade style, like open world game. And then there's Forza. There's Forza Motorsport, which is the actual like simulator on a same level as a Gran Turismo. So
Did you say that there are 4 games in the series? Get it? Forza?
Forza. No, there's not 4,
Okay.
but
Oh,
I got
Zen.
your joke. I got your joke.
I get
And you know what? That joke was still better than Kingdom Hearts. So
Oh wow.
but anyway, the so yeah, the Forza Motorsport is the simulation racing. It's very similar to Gran Turismo, and I'm excited as hell for this because I love that stuff. I can't afford a Ferrari. I can't afford a McLaren, but I can afford $59.99. So I will sit there and I will pretend I'm in a, and I do some weird stuff with these games like Gran Turismo or whatever. I'll sit there and I'll have the cup holder and like I'll turn the music on. I'm like one of those guys and I'll be like, You ever watch the South Park episode where he gets the video game and it's the racing car and then they start playing like the montage music and then he like hits reverse and he's like in the game. It's just like total
only
like
you can already guess the only South Park episode I've ever watched. You could
the
probably
World of
guess.
Warcraft one, which is the
Yes.
finest of South Park episodes.
That was a good episode.
They were on a good run that year. I think that was season 10 and they were on a good run because they made fun of like Dog the Bounty Hunter, the Dog Whisperer, and World of Warcraft all in like 3 episodes back to back. They literally had the wealth of content that year to make fun of. It was a weird year for TV. I'm heartless confirmed. Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. It's okay. We can't all be winners. But yeah, so Forza, like I said, someone said in another podcast, the tires are round and everything looks beautiful. I'm ready. Let's go. So I might do this because and I think to those that play racing games, I'll indulge you here. It's different, I think, because Gran Turismo right now has a lot of problems with the monetization stuff. It's overly monetized. Like you got to play to win, race, 1 million hours to get the cars you want and all that kind of stuff. We're hoping Forza kind of deviates from that and it's just good old fashioned, race and access to the cars and all that kind of stuff. But Forza is an awesome game. I like Forza Horizon a lot. Forza Horizon 5 was one of my favorites of the year too. Fun game. You got one of those like brand new Broncos and I was like jumping over cliffs and stuff like that. Like I'm all about it. I'm going to go buy a racing sim. See, stupid ways to spend money. I'm going to go buy one of those damn shifter things. So Forza Horizon. Okay. We're going to kind of speed through this here because we're, time wise, we're running a little long here. So we're going to go to a couple of things here. The Diablo 4 announcement. I had no idea Diablo 4 was coming. Who here knew Diablo 4 was coming? Because I didn't.
I knew, but I wasn't that excited about it.
That's where it was.
Is
kinda
that
with
a
Lesh.
reflection of the stuff at Blizzard, or it's just like I don't care anymore?
That and more so because I was super excited for 3 and it was a disappointment. So I didn't
same.
want to get super excited for 4 and get disappointed again.
Yeah, because Diablo 2 is my childhood, and like I played so much of it, like probably more than all Zelda games combined. And then just Diablo 3 dropped on our laps, and it wasn't exciting. I wasn't once I beat the game, there was no reason for me to go back and like loot things. There was no reason for me to begin nightmare difficulty. And not only that, what was it? The auction house at the beginning? Like, I know like Diablo 4 is not going to start with that, but with everything that's going on with Blizzard and with just like everything that's just Diablo 3 has evolved, where it's more just hack and slash instead of like a good survival horror like what Diablo 1 was. I'm on the fence.
Yeah, I might wait to see and watch people play it again.
Yeah.
Wait for those opinions, and then maybe we'll see. But I don't know. Like Diablo 3 just got too repetitive. Like you have to do the same thing over and over again every season. Same thing over and over again. Play with your friends. Like it was fun to play with others. I would never play it by myself.
I've never touched a Diablo game.
Yeah,
I
it's not for
played 3
everybody.
very briefly, like just to give it a shot. Never got.
If I'm gonna touch a Diablo game, is it Diablo 2 that I should play, or is it like
Yep.
kind of aged not well?
Diablo 2 Resurrected, I think you would really like that one because it's really good.
Is it Diablo 2, or is it like
Yeah, it's Diablo 2. It's
but
basically
it's resurrected?
just Resurrected is just like pretty much like the HD textures, like is like
okay.
Pretty much what they did is with the Diablo 2 Resurrected, it's actually the entire game, because there's a button you can press where it actually takes away like the HD graphics, and you're playing like the original with the original graphics, like systems and loot and everything like that. The only thing is they add like a couple of like different quality of life settings, such as like expanded stash, because your stash was so pathetically small in the original, and it's just a couple of other things that just make the game just a bit more enjoyable. So like they did a really great job. Just the only thing is like I couldn't really get through playing it because I was just like, you know what, I'm so mad at Blizzard.
I want to play this. Like I want to play a Diablo game, but I don't want to give Blizzard my money right now. Like that's and that, I know like some people are gonna say like, hey, you know, they're working on it, they're trying to fix it on this stuff, but like still there's a lot of people that were hurt by working there, and like I just can't see it in my own personal good conscience to give them money. I just can't see it right now. And you know, I'm hoping, and when the ink dries at Microsoft, that deal's still up in the air, by the way. Like it's not, the keyword is
They haven't finished it.
They've agreed to buy them. But obviously it has to go through all the government channels because the acquisition is so large. It has to go through the government channels. Government's got to approve it, yada, yada. So when the ink dries on this Microsoft deal, I'll wait it out a couple months. I'll see how it works. Because the other big news that came out of that with Diablo 2 is the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 sequel to the 2019 game, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's also coming. And the big news there, it's not on Battle Pass anymore, or BattleNet or whatever. Now it's on Steam. We're going to talk about that.
I'm not a COD person. Like, that's the problem. I'm like, every time I hear like a COD is coming out, I'm just like, which one is this? I don't even
if
know.
you're going to play,
they're all the same. They're all the
Head
same.
click shooter simulator. Like,
if you're going to play a COD, I think the Modern Warfares are the ones you should play because those seem to be the best ones.
I've played them, like when Dustin and I were long distance. I don't remember which one he had me install, and it was enjoyable. But I'm just not like, woo, another one.
You mean you're not sitting there sipping on G Fuel and phasing up while you play Call of Duty? We're going to talk about that in a minute after we get to we're going to spend some brief minutes on talking about the news outside of this channel, or outside of this segment here. We'll get there. Someone mentioned Blizzard in the chat. We'll talk about it. Okay, so I'm going to do it. I want to do it. I'm just waiting for the drink. I'm waiting for the ink to dry at Microsoft and see how they work on fixing the problems that really need fixing over there. And I would like to believe Microsoft has a pretty good track record with their employees. They seem to be a decent place to work. So here's hoping. And again, I'll save it for the segment after. But okay, so we got 2 on board for Diablo 4. Hannah's going to be on board for this one. Hannah is ready for Overwatch 2.
Yeah, I am.
What are we excited about for Overwatch 2?
Well, you go ahead. You go first, Lesh.
I was gonna say for me, I'm not like overly excited, but like Overwatch has a little bit special place in my heart. This is one of the reasons why I kept playing it after the Blizzard stuff happened. Obviously that's how Thomas and I kind of grew closer together, was with Overwatch. So with Overwatch 2, we played the first beta. At least for me, I'm a support main, and supports didn't really get shit. Excuse my language, but supports didn't really get anything. We're the same. Nothing new was coming out. So when I did hear that they are coming out with 2 new support characters in the future, that got me intrigued, and I'm actually looking forward to see what they are.
There's only one real support character in the first game, right?
No, there are a few.
No, there's multiple.
But things have changed. Like some characters were support, now they're not support anymore, and like it's gone through its changes.
I played so much of that game. Like for those that are watching us on Twitch here, Carla, my mod, hated my streams for a while because that's all I played was damn Overwatch, and I was actually pretty decent at it. And then like I just fell off it because it kept being repetitive, and then if any game got me into that whole like farming for loot boxes thing, it was that godforsaken game.
Yeah, for the special events and stuff.
Yeah.
For sure.
Oh, I need the diva, what is it, schoolgirl Chinese New Year outfit, and I'm like, I gotta play like 70 hours.
I was a very annoying diva to play against. I just crashed into everyone.
That's how I played too.
Boop them all up. No, I'm definitely a huge Overwatch player. Overwatch 2, like, we didn't really like, me, and I say we, as in me and my friends that we played together, we weren't a huge fan of the whole 5v5. But, I mean, maybe we'll see. We're still kind of excited for the next...
So it's supposed to be free to play, right? Like, this is actually going to be free to play. So I'm not paying $50 to get it.
Correct. It's free.
But then where's Blizzard getting their money? It's
going to be the battle passes.
Okay.
I think they're going to do it
I don't
like
know. They're doing with Apex and Fortnite and...
Yeah. So I don't know if, like... I'm going to guess that it's going to be cosmetics. That's going to be hidden behind the whole pay
Right,
wall.
because I can't imagine they would give up they might give up the term loot boxes, but I can't imagine they'd give up that.
They are
market.
Apparently.
Really?
Apparently they're straying away from loot boxes completely and moving to the battle passes.
Okay, I have a theory as to why they're getting rid of the loot boxes. Because
I think it's the gambling, right?
Yes, it's the gambling aspect of it. Because a lot of these companies are getting in trouble because of the gambling aspect of these things.
Right.
Counter-Strike and weapon skins and all this kind of. So it's the gambling aspect because kids are racking up parents' credit cards,
right?
Paying hundreds of dollars in loot boxes because these streamers are making it look like they're making they're getting it hand over fist, winning all these amazing skins and stuff. Which that stuff's all curated on the back end, people.
Right.
Just so you know.
Duplicate Central. I've never paid money for loot boxes. I just always open whatever loot boxes I get. And, I'm just boxes of disappointment is what they are.
When I was living with roommates and I was, not paying as much as I was for rent and stuff like that, like $10 here, $15 there, 20, like, oh, I got an extra 20. Like, you think about how much money you spend on those things.
Yeah.
And to get a lot of the same crap, like.
I remember when Overwatch came out with like some type of patch that would limit repeats. I don't know if you guys remember that. Because people kept complaining that they were like getting so many repeats. Like people were getting upset, understandably so, but I don't know if Overwatch changed it that much. Like,
so the battle
remember.
the battle pass platform works. Like you say, you pay X amount of dollars every season or whatever, and you're entitled to this content and blah blah blah. The problem I have with Overwatch 2 is it looks like the same damn game. It looks like there's no like graphical upscaling. There's no like.
There's a little bit. When we went into the beta, like it looks a little cleaner. The lighting effects obviously a little different. Some of the characters are changing the models up a little bit. But like I said, like you said, it's really, if it was $60, I probably wouldn't have gotten it. But it's free, so I'll give it a chance.
Again, then again, it's not going against my philosophy. Yeah, if it's free, I'll try it. Like
Free 99.
free 99. Yeah, like I said, I just don't want to give that company any money right now. But if it's free, I'm not giving them money. So I'm about it. Zenith, are you going to play some Overwatch with this?
Maybe if they can take CEO Bobby Kotick to the fires of Mount Doom and cast him into the fire from whence he came.
Okay.
Don't know they'll be able to do that.
I don't think it's in his contract that he can be dropped into the fires of hell.
I watched the Lord of the Rings Fellowship of the Ring yesterday, so I'm just...
So
let's just say I know people that are good. Well, I don't know if they still are. I'll phrase that there, but I know people that were friends with Bobby Kotick, and the stuff you hear about him, it's pretty true.
Yeah.
So
for me, it's always hard because the CEO, and there's probably some employees that are complete trash. But there are actually some genuine people who worked super hard on this game.
That's the problem I have with this situation.
It's the catch-22. Like, I want to support them, but I don't want to support the big guys, and it sucks.
Like, that's where, again, this is where I'll kind of reiterate this here. This is where you can't base everything, like, you can't base every decision you make on, like, morality clauses, or let me rephrase this. This is a very, very touchy way to put this. You can't run, like, your business or your identity or your online identity and everything based off of these, like, holier than thou virtues, because every company out there, and I was telling my girlfriend this yesterday, every company, every person, everyone out there has some type of skeleton in their closet. It's how they bounce back when those skeletons are revealed.
Yes.
And the problem the problem I have with Blizzard is how they chose to react to when their skeleton came out of the closet.
Agreed. Yep.
Yeah.
That's the problem I have. And like I said, everyone has them. Everyone has them.
Yep.
We're not saints. We're all human beings here. This is where we talked about earlier about how, like, the Twitch thing has changed and the culture and everything about it. We all have skeletons here, but we're all being constantly judged for those skeletons. But we're not looking at our own. Like, we all have them. It's all in how we bounce back when they're revealed. Blizzard screwed up royally. Me and my girlfriend specifically were talking about Amber Heard, and now that situation was Johnny's skeletons came out, but he was honest about it, and he was in agreement with what they were saying about his skeletons. He's like, yeah, I got a problem. You know, he didn't try to deny it. He didn't try to cover it up. He was very open about everything.
The Blizzard thing was unfortunately handled, like, you know, in like that HR kind of way. Like, you know, we have to, like, cover our asses.
Right.
You know, and the problem is when you're looking at any type of company, the backbone and the foundation of the company are going to be the people that work in it, like the ones that are working their 9-to-5s, working to make ends meet, like pouring their talents into this company. But the ones that have, like, the voices for the company are the CEO headshots that are completely disillusioned to what, like, the actual culture or what's going on with their workers or what's within the company, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so that's like, you can't put, like, Erik and I have talked about this on a previous episode. We can't. I was like one of those Blizzard, like, fangirls. I wanted to go out to where, I forget where they are. I always forget.
BlizzCon.
Or is it Irvine or Anaheim? I can't remember.
BlizzCon is Anaheim.
I always wanted to, like, go there and tour and just learn everything. And now I feel like so, like, let down, disappointed. I'm like, I don't care. You know what I mean? So, but you just can't put, like, that kind of, like, hope in a company, because they're always just gonna, like, there's always gonna be
disappoint you in some way, shape, or form. And, you know, and, like, it's the same applies to people. You know, in the panel of us four here, someone's gonna do something to disappoint another person, but it's how we interact with each other, and we bounce back from the situation and realize, like, hey, you know, that wasn't cool. You know, let's try and fix it. You know, that type of thing. And that's the thing. But, like, I don't put this thing into Zenith where, like, Zenith is this guy's be all end all, like, form of perfection, because he's not, because he's a human being. You know,
Zenith's not perfect.
Yeah, he's not perfect.
I'm a very flawed person, haven't you noticed?
Yeah.
That's why we increased the age rating for the podcast.
You know, And like I said, and the same goes for companies. Like I say this time and time again: do not base your identity, your fandom, your life breathing meaning around these companies, be it Twitch or Activision or Sony or Microsoft or what, because they're companies.
They only care about one thing, and it's your dollar.
Yeah, and they've done
worshiping anything in any kind of like form that's not like when it's a business, worshiping them generally will lead to disappointment. But at the same time, I still do believe in lifelong learning and accepting one's faults and growing from them.
Right. That's why I'm a firm believer for like second chances and stuff. But it's
I'm
it's like how you mentioned, it's how they handle it. Like if they were to handle things a lot better, people learn from their mistakes and whatnot, I'm willing to give them another chance. But if they're just like, nah, you're wrong, whatever, peace, dude. It's like, all right. Goodbye, then.
So yeah, I mean, if Overwatch is free to play, I'll jump on board and I'll dip into the Diva again. I'll get that ball rolling. Well, go ahead.
I'm sorry. No, go. Well, I was gonna say the thing is with Overwatch 2, I know like everyone. Well, Leshkee said she would rather pay like that monthly battle pass. For me, like I feel like I think I'm just so tired of like these monthly payment kind of thing. Like I'm the kind of person that would rather just play like how the original Overwatch was. You just pay it and then like, because I'm just tired of like this whole like here's like $10 here, here's another $10 here, and then it eventually starts to add up. You know what I mean? But I can understand both sides of the coin. Like I get it.
I got news for you, girl. That ain't going away.
It's not going away. I know that. And so I'm
Fall Guys is doing it now too. Fall Guys is going free to play, but with Battle Pass.
So the idea is the reason this stuff kind of comes into play is because these companies now spend so much in millions of dollars to make these games. Now Fall Guys and stuff like that, it's not, but definitely something like Overwatch where millions were invested to make it. That's their guarantee that income, that return on investment happens.
And they got to keep paying for servers and stuff.
Yeah, it's maintenance of this stuff isn't cheap. And these big time agreements that they make, like, okay, who's excited for a Kojima Xbox game? We all know who Kojima is.
Did he just like announce that he was working with them and then it was like, okay.
Yeah, he's like I'm going to make a game for Xbox, and that was it.
It's like goodbye.
That's why I'm like,
I don't have an Xbox, so I'm just like, okay, sure. All right, next game.
I will say though, the Microsoft Bethesda thing, I was shocked that all of those games were Game Pass games because I have Game Pass and I think that was the best investment ever.
Hannah and I did a whole episode on this on the other show where that is the Microsoft platform now. Like Microsoft does not care that you buy an Xbox. They just care that you play the Xbox games. That's their business approach now. So now their whole goal, and it makes financial sense for them, is to get you on Game Pass at $10-15 a month, and they give you all these games to keep you paying and to keep you coming back month after month after month. It's a lot cheaper for them than to invest in research and development for new hardware and yada yada yada. They can just keep developing these games, and they want that from you. And I could totally see where someone like Lesh is like, yeah, the best investment I ever made. I want to try this game. And if I don't like it, I move on to the next game. One. Yeah, and I don't have to pay another $50-$60 to do so.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Go.
No, so how long do you think till like businesses like GameStop or something are just going to be completely wiped out? Because we're probably going to start to see companies are going to move to that style of, like monthly subscription.
My honest opinion, I want to say it's going to be 5 years, but I think it's going to be more like 10. And I think is what's going to happen, at least this is my personal opinion, we're going to stop seeing like the standard physical release, like you go, there's the game on the shelf, whatever, and the stuff that's going to be physical release is going to be these collector's editions with the statuettes and the collector cards. And those are going to be your physical releases.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I don't think GameStop will ever go away. Sorry. If online sales didn't kill them, because I think that would have, the fact that you could buy stuff online, I haven't gone to a GameStop in forever. But if buying stuff online hasn't, I don't think they're ever going to go away. They might downsize 100%, but I think there's still those people that really still want to have those collectibles, like you said. They want to have that physical copy.
GameStop,
They could have been gone by now if it wasn't for the
meme stocking?
Yes, the meme stocks.
Yeah. Well, they're getting in that NFT game, so they're just making one step after another of financial failure. But so that, like I said, I think this traditional, like, you go to a Best Buy or Target or whatever, and you see, 50 copies on that shelf, that's going to go away. And I think it's just going to be these collector's edition type of deals. And even then, those are starting to be exclusive direct to sell, because if you noticed or were paying attention, the Last of Us Collector's Edition was only available from Sony directly.
Mm.
It had the comic books and all that stuff, which I wanted it for the comic books. I was like, oh, give me the comic books. And then I went there, it was sold out. And I'm like,
gotcha.
Well, I'm like, okay, well, I guess you're not getting my $100. I'm paying 70. But like, that's, I think, where it's going to go. But what were we on the thing? Oh, the Game Pass thing. So that is definitely going to be the future of, I think, games content in general. If Microsoft keeps growing, that's going to be where the future goes.
Yeah.
But then again, you have these companies that are brilliant and counteract this kind of stuff. And Steam is now got into the handheld hardware market with the Steam Deck. And now the Steam Deck, the companies look at this and they go, whoa. Like, let's say I was From Software, right? Let's say I was From Software and I'm like, oh, wow, we could put our thing on Game Pass, but they've got the Steam Deck thing now. So now people can play our games on the go. Maybe we should stick on the Steamboat and not just go to exclusive to Game Pass or whatever. That's the kind of thing. And then I think I think will happen, and if it does happen, it'll take a lot of legwork. If Steam does this whole thing like Microsoft does, like the Steam Pass or whatever, I think Game Pass is in trouble.
Oh, for sure.
Because Steam owns the PC market, as much as you don't want to believe
it.
But
at the same time, obviously, thinking of how we have like a bajillion streaming services for TV shows and all that fun stuff, it's probably going to end up being something like that, where people, because of the exclusives, people don't have a choice but to subscribe to both.
This is the problem I have with the whole. This is the people that are cheering this crap on, like, yeah, Sony buy this company, at Microsoft buy this. The problem I have with that kind of crap is, just like you said, it's going to start segregating into all these different streaming services, because that's the goal. Let's be realistic. That's the goal. They want to give us a reason to go to that platform and pay the $15 there to play those games.
Right.
That's the goal. That's Microsoft. Like I said, Microsoft doesn't care if you buy an Xbox. They just care that you play the Xbox games. That's all they care about. And that's the thing. But because there's, again, Steam is that beast that will not fall, because there's people that will wait for it to show up on Steam. What's it called? Epic's exclusive right now. What's Tiny Tina Wonderlands, that Borderfall witch game type looking thing, that's exclusive to Epic right now. There are people waiting for it to just show up on Steam so they can buy it on Steam. That's how much of a foothold Steam still has on the PC market. Now, if Microsoft plays nice with Valve, which it sounds like they kind of are, because anything outside of Valve or anything outside of Game Pass goes to Steam. It's becoming like Steam, exclusive here. And that's that thing. So we're gonna get to the whole thing, but to answer the question, yes, I think that's the future. I think that's the future. To answer the question, yes, I think GameStop will go away in a traditional sense, and it's going to come down to all these streaming
or
platform.
Heck, they might do like the whole Blockbuster thing and try to do the whole online streaming.
Ugh.
And swap their
they're gone. I honestly, to answer, I think they're done. I think they're just done in a sense, because they just can't financially stay a hold. The final thing we'll talk about here before we get into some Arrhenius type of news before we close out this evening, the Starfield. So how do we feel about Starfield? We'll spend 5 minutes or so talking about this here.
That was one I actually was not able to check out.
So this was probably the most talked about game for the past year or two. It got delayed, and now I don't know, did anyone catch a release date for it?
I didn't even watch the trailer.
You didn't watch the trailer?
I watched it. Tom and I watched it. And it's funny because as he was watching it, he just kept saying, "Oh, so No Man's Sky? Oh, so No Man's Sky? So No Man's Sky?"
It looks like Skyrim. It looks like Skyrim and Fallout in space.
No Man's Rim. Wait, no, that's not
No Man's Rim.
2023,
looks
it
like
just
that.
says, I think.
I was
Okay,
gonna
so
say it gives me
2020.
like Fallout vibes for some reason.
Because it is Fallout in space.
Yeah.
It's Bethesda. It's a Bethesda. I watched it and I'm not that impressed with it. Now I'm not saying I'm not going to play it, but like nothing in that trailer has me like day one,
Right.
right.
I'm kind of scanning through it a little bit. It's not something like I don't know, like I'm not looking at and I'm like, oh, I need to check out this out or buy it. Like just based off appearance alone. Like you said though, like I think it was just a lot of space stuff. So I think I'm just like I'm
The
tired of
Callisto
space
one, the
stuff.
Callisto protocol intrigues me more than Starfield
I would say
does.
from what I
Yeah,
saw of that one looks a little bit more interesting to me.
That looks like space is boring to me. Like space is boring unless it's a horror space. Like unless it's scary stuff in space. Space. I don't want to float around in spaceships and look at the moons and stuff like that.
Well, you've never played
But for
Mario
some people,
Galaxy?
that's their jam. So
Yeah, but I was Mario flying around in space. That was cool.
Yeah.
And I'm fighting bad guys like Space Rim, whatever this game is. Like I'm looking at it and I'm like, I'm not that excited. Like this is what we were waiting for. But then again, I kind of knew this is what was going to be the case. And this is no knock to you diehard Bethesda people, like, because I know they're in this chat. There's diehard Bethesda people that will soak up everything Bethesda does and Bethesda makes. It's just this game just isn't it for me. Like I'm not. Am I going to play it? Yes, and I'm going to wait until it's on that Black Friday deal, and then I will play it. But I'm not going to be there day one. I don't pre-order games anymore anyway. Like I'll just get them on day one.
I rarely do.
But
Except for Kickstarter and stuff. But
yeah, that kind of stuff. I'll support like an indie dev going into this whole thing.
I love indies. Yep.
But yeah, I'm not in that whole realm of like I need to go play this. I'm gonna go watch the trailer a little bit more, and we'll see. What I think about. But so far, it sounds like the consensus here is no one's really excited about it. Look at this. Okay, so the expectation. This is what Hannah was talking about. The expectations were set way too high, and we got what we got.
Just
Now,
based off what I'm looking at, nothing seems like very new or innovative to me to where I'm interested. Like
right.
I'm just like, maybe I don't know.
Could just be me. It's not. I know for me, space doesn't really it doesn't tickle my fancy or anything. So like all the space games, I'm like, I'll watch people play it, but I won't play it myself.
Unless it's
But it's
Super
okay.
Mario Galaxy.
No, not even.
Wow. I'm just playing. How dare you?
Well, Doom Eternal was technically space. Well, and
Because
16.
Doom Eternal is bad. Yeah, but it's also like heavy metal, like goth
I was
inspired.
gonna say,
Yeah, heavy
you gotta
metal
think about
space.
it.
Give me
Sense.
some more of that, please. Thank you.
So
Yeah,
You
give
don't
me
say
some more.
like, I'm gonna go
and
play a
that's,
space
like,
game. Doom.
The only space thing I was into.
Mass Effect intrigues me a bit. Yes, I'm getting there. I can see why people love it. But I'll see how I look about Starfield. I'll probably go watch it. Just to kind of wind up, because I didn't get to see this one yet, but Squaresoft did their whole little thing. And yes, the second Final Fantasy Remake Part 2 thing is coming. And
Yes.
I'll be there for it.
I'm excited for it. Even if it has number on it.
The only thing I'm waiting for in this, I want to see, because I'm not going to say it because it's a major spoiler of this thing, but you'll know what I'm talking about when I say it. It's like, I want to see how the remake handles the event that changes the whole course of that game.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that
That's
going to
what
be
I
in this
want.
part? Is that confirmed? Or
They're saying it's 3 parts, so it might happen in this. If it's doing disc 1, disc 2, disc 3 like the original one, we should be getting it around in this second one.
Okay.
And they're also remaking the prequel, the Crisis Core prequel, I think is what it was. That
yeah, that's
was
what
on the
Dustin was
PSP.
telling me. He's excited for that one because he loved Crisis Core.
Yeah.
And then,
without spoilers, though, I gotta say the one thing that really, really intrigues me about this is the fact that like I'm prepared to hurt in a way that I wasn't expecting when I first started playing the game.
Yeah. It's that game, that is also one of my favorites. It's not my favorite Final Fantasy, but it's probably number 2. But the way that game, that story progresses, and you meet that character in the beginning, and then what happens, and you're kind of like, wow. And then you rethink all the decisions you made up with that character's interactions. Like, and you rethink all the decisions, the way you treated them and everything, and then you're like, wow. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'll be there for it. We have Lesh has a hard exit here in a few minutes, so I want to go ahead and take a moment. The new members of the panel here are open to have the floor a little bit here, introduce themselves, and talk about what they like to do and what they do.
Oh man.
And plug your socials.
Plug your socials. I do not have a command for their socials yet, but if you go to the panels page of the Twitch channel, I think it's under About Now. Twitch is all over the place now in the way things are laid out. There's links there where you can follow these Twitch channels. But the two new members of the team can go ahead and have the open floor here. We'll start with Zenith since he's been quiet.
Well, my name is Zenith. I play a lot of Zelda. Well, I do some variety as well, but mostly my focus of stream is like a fun viewer-based interaction where people can visit an online store and actually build things for me to play. So by using like a certain currency you get in the stream. So essentially trying to make sure it's my goal to make sure that everyone has fun and people can be able to just interact and just kind of have fun with each other and bounce off it. And that's basically it. It's a lot of fun.
He has a great community, by the way. Highly recommend.
Highly recommend that. Let's see. I do not have follow commands yet. I got to work on those. We'll get that all worked out by the next episode, I swear. Like I said, there's a bunch of things. There's a bunch of things I'm gonna miss. So, Lesh, you have the floor.
Me. Hi. I'm Leshkee, a very extremely variety streamer. Right now I'm probably gonna be playing a lot of Fortnite on stream, but usually I do cozy simulator type games plus some crafting. So if you want a completely random person and just really, to my community is more so like people to hang out with, because definitely it's not about what I play. So if you like that, come hang out.
Also, very amazing community as well. Lesh and Zen are fantastic.
We love them. That's why they're here.
Mm-hmm.
They're incredible people. So, most of you don't know in this chat now because we have a lot of new people here. Again, we welcome you. Thank you. Hannah, go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name's Hannah, and I'm a former Twitch broadcaster. I walked away from the platform. What was it? Not too long ago. Like what, last year before?
2 years, girl. You've been out 2 years
ago. So if you do see me streaming, it's just every once in a while I get the itch to just do something, but it's no longer something I focus on. And so Erik has been wonderful and brought me on to this podcast as his co-host. I don't have socials. That's a whole nother story in itself. So you usually just find me on here.
And I am Erik Anthony, and I am semi-retired. I do not stream on a regular basis anymore, but I still have the desire to make content. You will find us mostly making these podcasts or doing, little blips here and there of doing some gaming. But when I do play, I play a lot of story-driven stuff and a lot of retro and things along those sorts. I just want to say thank you to all you new people that have come here and shown us your love today, and we hope you enjoy the show. We plan to do more of these. These individuals are not going anywhere. We plan to have more content in line and stuff to keep doing for you guys, and we will have more of those updates. Now you can do social media, !social media, and that will give you the socials for all of the Good People Media stuff. We got the Twitter, we got the TikTok, and that formatting looks weird in the chat there, but you can look at it and kind of decipher it there. But that'll give you all that stuff. That's where you'll find the content for us there. And then, of course, you can go to these individuals' broadcasted channels and get their content on their channels as well. We want to thank you. And we want to, again, we hope to see you again soon. The next tentative date would be 2 weeks from now, because the idea, while I wind this down, the idea is this show will be bi-weekly. So we will do 2 a month. So you will catch Good Friends, Good Games at the first and third week of the month. And then the second and fourth week will be the Good People with Erik and Hannah. And then if we add another show, we'll figure out where we're going to put it. But that's the idea. So you'll get us alternated, and we hope, you stick around for all that content. And again, we thank you guys for being here. those of you that interacted with us
you.
today. If you please follow the channel and show your love. We are trying to build this channel up from our independent ones. So please follow if you are inclined to and you enjoyed what you saw, and we would really, really appreciate it. So on that note, I'm going to wind us down. You've been listening to Good Friends, Good Games, and we appreciate you, and we're going to head out of here.
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Thanks, everyone.